All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 25th meeting of CB11's Executive Committee. My name is Adem Bria, and I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:34 p.m. Tonight, we're joined by Angel Muscane, our staff liaison and district manager. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. One, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon. You will find the raise hand function there. You should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used to discuss or pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call.
Committee members, when I call your name, please answer. Present. Jose Altamirano.
Present.
Adem Bria.
Present.
Rosa Diaz. Jill Jones.
Present.
Sage Mason. Nelson Ramos.
Present.
Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Derek Stanhope.
Present.
Jason Villanueva. Candy Vivas Vasquez.
Present.
We have four.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopt the agenda, you may raise your hand to be recognized. Go ahead, Derek.
I move to move item E under 6 to be first.
Okay, anybody have any objections to that?
No.
All right, we will do that. Okay, adoption of the meeting minutes. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to the committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there's no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. All right, seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. And the minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by me and Jose. We'll do it together, all right? We'll see how that goes. Announcements. Anybody? Anybody?
Just summarizing starts next week, July 1st, so make sure that if you have a kid who's in summarizing, make sure they show up on the first day, stay in their spot.
Thank you. I'll just say, the executive committee will be meeting in July on the 16th as well. So this will not be our last meeting of the board here, which usually ends technically in June, and we come back in September. So with that, we'll go to informational updates. I don't think there are any. Does anyone have any? Nope. Okay. Then we're gonna go to presentations.
Sure.
And discussion. Okay, go ahead, Xavier.
Yeah, I forwarded a flyer. Thursday, July 16th from 4 to 7. There will be a construction business and job resource fair that we are helping partner with to continue elevating jobs in the community. So I share that with you and Angel. So you can take a look at that once it's finalized to distribute. So that'll be held at Union Settlement 71st. It'll be on East 111th Street. So
Were we being asked to sponsor that?
or to be a co-sponsor of it.
Okay, done.
For sure.
Put in the newsletter. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so presentations and discussions. And so we're going to go with I believe the 100th Street between 3rd and Lex, open streets. So I know we've talked about this for a while. We had a lot of great speakers at our full board meeting. Tonight, for the sake of, not making the meeting too long, we've asked that, I think it's clear there are two kind of sides to this. So we're gonna ask one person to kind of speak on behalf of everyone who's in support of this. And then on the other side, if there's anyone who has any issues, if you truly feel as if those people spoke and they didn't really reflect what you wish to say, then we will recognize that. But if you're planning on just basically reiterating that, you can kind of just raise your hand when you're speaking to show that you've aligned with them. Before we go to that, so I looked more into this and I do have a few questions, mostly about at least what we received for the World Cup event, specifically the World Cup watch party. The application itself says it was for June 13th. There's no, and then it also makes mention that it will be on the weekend. So it's a little contradicting on the application itself. Because in one regard, it makes it appear as if it's a one-day thing. And then it says it's on weekends. And then it was brought to my attention because I believe the Brazil game was on Wednesday. And I believe it was being used as an open street on Wednesday. So there is inconsistencies with what has been given to the board, what was approved, and then what's actually being done in practice. Additionally, the application itself says 0 to 74 people. The event itself, at least I believe the June 13th one, where the first Brazil game took place. I mean, and I will say from what I saw, it was peaceful and everything. People were celebrating stuff, but it was probably closer to 300 plus people there, not 74. Now, granted, you can't truly know how many people will show up to something like this, but that is the reason those numbers are important is that would significantly change how the precincts would prepare for safety, for emergency vehicles. And that's why that number is important. So, I believe, Jackie, you applied, right? So I'd like for you to address each of those points, and if you need me, say any of them again, let me know.
I just want to separate these two situations we have here. We have the open streets. I have here 350 signatures.
I know, but I don't really need that right now.
And
I'm asking you to answer my questions first.
the World Cup.
Right, I just like, you can say what you want when you're gonna make your statement. I'm gonna ask you to just answer the questions I asked for now, so we can stay on track.
Okay, World Cup. So when I applied for the open streets, they told me, if you wanna do anything related to World Cup, you need to send a separate application. So much I did that I was here in this board and I told them I was also confused about why, because we were not doing anything specific for the watch parties as they were explaining. This is not a watch party. We were putting a TV outside. So, and that's what we did. When I applied the 13th, because that was the first weekend of the World Cup, I didn't have the option of selecting other days, but I explained that that was for the duration of the World Cup. The other thing is, we never expect to get so many people. But even not expecting, we close our reservation once we reach capacity. We told people not to come. We don't have capacity to even feed so many people. But what we have seen from that was that we became a sensation on 100th Street for some reason, and this is not just Brazilians. People wanted to come experience the soccer energy of Brazil. And what can we do? We can talk to DOT, we can talk to the police, and that we have been doing very closely. We have been following, and we spoke to the fire department. We have a hydrant right in front. What can we do? We have the barricades. We spoke to the police even yesterday because much more people showed up than we expected. Again, the police said you have to put the barricades on. It's too many people. So we not just closing the street because.
But your application did say weekends, so you did it on a Wednesday. I guess the question is, that's not what the application had one day, and I understand what you're saying. You may not have been able to select more, understood. And let me preface this by saying, I'm not saying that I have an issue. From what I've seen, it looks great, but we have to review things as we're being said. So when you came here, you told this board that you were doing this on the weekends.
Yeah.
And now you did it on a Wednesday as well. So I guess my question is, why not present that when you
on a Wednesday.
So
We did not have an open streets on the Wednesday.
you didn't have people sitting out there watching the World Cup on a Wednesday? Because I was sent pictures of it that it was happening.
We had that. I have pictures here too. And I explaining this is what happened yesterday again. We talking to DOT. The mayor just started expanding the soccer streets program because it's happening now. It's not happening in 15 days. There's a lot of demand for soccer games. People want to watch the soccer games. What do? I talk to the police. What do? Do I send people home? They said, no, put the barricade and open the street immediately after the game.
So why do you come, let me ask you a question. Why would you come to the community board? Now, I understand that you've straightened that out with everybody, but as far as this community board was concerned, and what you told us, it was on the weekends. So if you were going to do it during the week and you cleared it with all these other parties, why wouldn't you reach out to the community board and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this on a Wednesday as well?
I am not I wasn't planning, I wasn't expecting.
You had the TVs out playing the games though, no?
Well, we had this.
So then you were
But I
planning to
was
do it.
not expecting so many people.
But the fact of the matter is, even if it was 20 people on the street, it's still not what you said. We're not talking now about the number of people. We're talking about the day you did it, and you did create an environment by putting the TVs on to have that happen. So I guess my question is, that you will say that you did not represent that to this board. When you applied, when you came to the licenses meeting, which I was at, when you came to full board, and we let a lot of people speak, and there was no mention of that to us. You do acknowledge that or not?
That was mentioned of the TVs outside, and also, I think everybody experienced the leaks just 2 weeks ago. There were TVs outside in every sidewalk.
But I'm only talking about this instance. I'm just talking about, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you can't plan for everything. But what you can do is tell somebody you're doing it on the weekends, and then, hey, I'm gonna update this, I'm gonna do it on a Wednesday. Because I'm not asking you how many people showed up, whatever. The fact of the matter is, you did do it on a Wednesday. You put the TVs on, whether you expected 20 people or 50 people, you did do something on a weekday that you told the board you would only do on a weekend. That's all I'm saying. So we could go back and forth all night. I think I just am stating what's happened, and then I'm gonna see if any of the members have questions, and then I'm going to allow whoever wants to speak to how they feel, and we can go from there. So do any board members have any questions or any comments based on what's? Jose, go ahead.
Just so
Then
that,
you go ahead.
so the rest of the committee is aware, I spoke to the 23rd precinct in regard to what's happening there, to the open streets and to the World Cup and to everything else. They were very forthcoming, and they have been very active, as they stated. So even though there was a large amount of people, they went there. They had told them that if it got too out of hand, that they would close it down. But as they patrolled it, they seemed to think that it was within the manageable amount. So the precinct has been very active in their applications in regard to both the World Cup and the open streets. It doesn't change the fact that, granted, like if you're doing it on a weekday, or if you're going to continue because the World Cup is still continuing, then we should be aware of what you're going to do and how to do it. Like the question here isn't like, or attacking you, it's just that we need to be aware of exactly, considering that there is a little bit of contention.
Yeah.
We should be aware, this community should be aware that you are going to be doing this or this or this or this, as well as the rest of the agency, so that we're not caught unaware.
Well, I think that's a very good point, because that's my other question to the board. What can we, as small business that are experienced this once in a lifetime influx of customers that have affecting everyone in our block? And our block had 5 restaurants closing in the last 5 years out of 9. Out of 9, 5 closed down. So we finally seen that it's starting to become alive again. And this is part of this new beginning for our restaurant road. So what can I do to follow the rules?
I think it's pretty clear, right? I mean, we never said no to you if you wanted to do it on a Wednesday. You just didn't ask, and you went and did it on a Wednesday. So let's not make this overly complicated or imply anything. We approved what you asked for, but now you've decided to go do something you didn't ask for. And no one's saying, had you asked to do it on Wednesday, that we would have said no. I'm just pointing out the inconsistencies of application. So that's pretty clear what the issue is. So, I mean, what could you do? You could go ahead and see if you can go to SAPO, wherever, or DOT, Open Streets, and ask them now for that, and then we could comment on that. Now, it's very late in it, but that would be the process. And as you know, because you've been through the process.
I don't know, maybe not for you guys, they are involved into DOT and permits and all of that, but it's very unclear what we need to do and how we need to do these, even for the World Cup applications. But I have reached out to DOT now. I'm trying to understand how we can become an official soccer street. That is a program in place for that. So why is Harlem cannot have that representation? So this is happening very fast, and I am just trying to understand what is my route, because, okay, I understand that that's how the board sees that I should not have put my TV for the customers that were watching in the sidewalk. And how can I do it next time, because the World Cup is here and is gonna be here for the next 3 weeks.
I mean, I don't know if this is the place to be asking us, like, we're not here. I know Raphael from the DOT implied that boards approve things. You know, what city agencies like to decide when the board can do and do not do things is baffling. But I think you're in front of the wrong group asking us. My point again is, we review what you present and we make a recommendation or we don't. And if you're asking me, and I don't think anyone here has given an actual opinion, myself included, except saying that, I was hoping we would have someone from the DOT here. They might be coming late, and if they do show up and we've moved on the agenda, we will give them an opportunity to comment on this, because they may be able to shed more light on this than we can. And as far as I would go is, we were presented an application for something. There is a possibility that could be something that gets amended within a day or so. Because so I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying what they'll do. I'm just, because there's been a lot of, there has been a lack of clarity, not just on your part, on our part and what we've reviewed. And so I just wanted to put everything out there so that everybody's aware of exactly what the situation is. That's all I'm doing. I'm just letting everyone know the facts as they stand. So I think we'll see if anyone from the DOT comes in.
I'm sending him an email.
Okay, so we'll wait on that. Now, if there's somebody who would like to speak for the, oh, Asher, I'm
Are
sorry.
we allowed to ask questions after they speak?
Yeah, of course. I think, yeah, okay, of course. All right, so if you'd like now to say whatever you want, or your piece, or, no?
Well, we have someone who's gonna speak for us.
You do? Then whoever that is.
We wanted to give our paper.
Everybody's gonna get a chance to speak, right, but it seems like it's one way.
It's a group.
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna allow,
That's what I'm saying.
we're gonna have a representative who's supportive of this open street and World Cup, and then we're gonna give an opportunity to a person that is in the opposition. And what I've said is, they're speaking in favor. If you have something very different to say than whoever spoke on the side you feel, we'll recognize it. But if you're just gonna reiterate it, we can, that's all I'm saying. So
So that is.
Matt, go ahead, and then we will hear the other side. It's,
Letters and 400 signatures from the neighbors. All
all right, so we have someone speaking. Let's recognize that person.
Okay, Matt,
I'm gonna read off this.
Please, do whatever, however you want.
Thank you, appreciate
Double
it.
stack.
First and foremost, thank you to the board for putting forth your time and effort for the advantage of our community's residents and businesses. My name is Matthew Pravilski. My wife and I have lived in this community for over 18 years. We got engaged in this community. We got married in this community, and we're raising our 2 daughters in this community. In the June 11th, 2026 Public Safety and Transportation Committee, one woman attended and misrepresented herself as the voice of an entire community. Her complaints that she voiced in that meeting can be summed up in the following bullet points. This woman doesn't have a permit for her cafe. I don't even know if she has her liquor license or not. She built a shed and a terrace around her restaurant. Can't even walk down the sidewalk. Once in a while, she'll slap some kids out with chalk so it looks okay. These are props. For-profit businesses making a shitload of money off of nonprofit open streets. And I can't believe the people that are coming to our street. In response to these allegations, a member of your committee, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with all of your names yet, said, we talk about the integrity of the program that's in front of us. And so we do not know that the community is complaining and that the community does not approve of it. Please allow me to be very clear. For the dozens of community residents who spoke in support of this particular Open Streets program in last Tuesday's meeting, for the hundreds of community residents who have signed a petition, and for those in the community who could not come and lend their voice tonight, Gwen Goodwin, one woman who is championing this personal vendetta, does not speak for an entire community. Her 80+ emails over the span of 3 years to Raphael Escano of the DOT do not represent our community as a whole. I will now address Gwen's complaints bullet by bullet quickly.
Yes, please make it
Yeah,
quick.
make it quick so we can
Well,
speak too.
No, sir.
you will have your time.
It's okay, no, let's
Okay.
make it.
No,
no.
Hold on, time out,
Everyone's gonna be fair.
Time out. Let me just say something, because I understand. Let me just say something. when you had signed up to speak during the public session at full board, you left. You were called on, you left. I don't know, you came back with other people. If you had shown up with 10 people that evening and you had stayed during the public session, you would have all been heard. But you came back towards the end of the meeting. We had a 9:30 cutoff in the school we were in. And so the reason you didn't speak was because you left. So had you guys been there, I just want you to understand, so you don't think that we're doing it that way. That's why we're doing it. And I understand the frustration, but I just want to make it clear that we're not trying to silence any voices. And that is why we said we would have this conversation tonight, and we are. Okay, so you will have your turn, okay? Go ahead.
For the sake of time, I'll lump together the first few bullet points. Doesn't have a permit, doesn't know if she has a liquor license, built a shed and terrace, can't even walk down the sidewalk. The permit for the NYC Open Streets programs is completely separate from that of the structures associated with the restaurants, so I'll begin with that. In a letter designed to rile up the community, Gwen alleges that Jackie and Johan are illegitimately and illegally operating these open streets. There have been mixed statements in the last two meetings stating that Uptown Grand Central, a nonprofit, applied for the open streets permit on behalf of Bar Goyon, a for-profit business. Firstly, Uptown Grand Central is a supporter, but is not involved with the open streets permit in this case. Secondly, a bit of education from the nyc.gov open streets website, not for you all, but for everybody else. NYC DOT works with a diverse set of partners to implement open streets citywide, including formal or informal community-based organizations such as block associations, educational institutions, groups of businesses, merchant groups, neighboring entities, etc., or houses of worship. According to the Open Streets 2025 annual report, there were 202 locations covering 382 city blocks and almost 26 miles of open streets. These were operated by over 130 partners, 8% of which were managed by restaurant groups, for-profit businesses. For the purposes of the remaining permit argument, we can assume Gwen combined the term shed, terrace, and cafe all under the same umbrella. Separate licenses through the NYC DOT for the Dining Out NYC program allow for the creation of sidewalk cafes and roadway cafes. Both businesses have an active liquor license, which is searchable by the public via the New York State Liquor Authority database. As for the sidewalk, as responsible small.
That was the noise they had. Yeah, I understand. you
Okay,
can't-
guys.
Okay.
It's okay.
We want
That's
to
the
get
noise they had. How would you like to live in there?
As for the sidewalk, as responsible business owners, Jackie and Johan do not allow their seating or tables or their sidewalk cafe to obstruct the sidewalk in
Do that
any way.
outside door.
Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. I will put the meeting in recess,
Go ahead.
and we can all just sit around till we come to order, and I'll just stop the meeting right now.
Yeah.
So we can move forward. Okay, 'cause you're gonna have your turn, please. Because this is not how we're gonna get anything done. Go ahead.
Thank you. Our next bullet point is schlepping out some kids who are being used as props. The photos included on the NYC Gov Open Streets website and in the 2025 annual report are filled with children playing, reading, drawing on the streets with sidewalk chalk. Are they also all props? They are literal mirror images of what the DOT is illustrating as examples of success. Gwen's next bullet point was a for-profit business making a shitload of money off of nonprofit open streets. First, we should probably collectively land on a barometer for what the term shitload means. In 2022, NYC DOT put out a report titled Streets for Recovery, the Economic Benefits of the NYC Open Street Program. In a letter from then Commissioner Adonis Rodriguez, he writes, this detailed report, supported by Bloomberg Associates, proves what we have all seen with our own eyes. New Yorkers not only love dining outdoors, when given the choice, they prefer to spend their time and money doing car-free open streets. In an adjoining letter from Bloomberg Associates, it comments, we've demonstrated that open streets aren't just green solutions, they can keep our small businesses in the black. And these open streets saw a 10% increase in bars and restaurants, providing a crucial lifeline for thousands of jobs that New Yorkers everywhere depend on. So from the entity that controls these open streets, not only is it accepted, it's celebrated and encouraged. Her final bullet point, and I'm not going to paraphrase this one because I'm going to highlight it as my last bullet point too. I can't believe the people that are coming to our street. I agree. It's clear from Gwen's Return 100th Street to the People incendiary letter that her goal is to stop people from coming to our community. The mission of the NYC Open Streets program is to transform city streets from car-centric thoroughfares into vibrant, accessible public spaces. It aims to enhance pedestrian and cyclist safety, support local businesses, provide safe outdoor areas for schools, and foster community engagement. To dive a little bit deeper, open streets allow local businesses such as restaurants and retail shops to expand their footprints outdoors, which bolsters commercial vitality and draws foot traffic to neighborhoods. Excluding people from our community, as Gwen proposes to do, is the stark opposite of the mission of open streets. The goal of open streets is inclusion. The goal of Bar Guayana's open streets program is inclusion. In wrapping up, the Block Association would like to comment in closing that despite the obvious contention here, the organization bears no ill will towards the individual. We remain open to a good faith conversation to resolve this matter the right way. We will not engage in nor accept any hostile venting or personal negativity. However, we do welcome a productive, professional discussion to move forward constructively. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, who would like to speak in opposition?
I mean, I
What
would
if
like.
you're
to-
not in, what if you just wanna
Well,
speak?
well,
If you
well-
don't wanna take a side.
Well,
that
if
was
you,
my question.
if you heard what I said if you felt that what was said by the two sides is not represented, then we will recognize.
It's not a side.
I just said that. I said if it was not, if something was said, if what you wanted to say you did not hear, you will have the opportunity to speak. So that also means that if you're not taking a side. All right, so, but I do want to go, is there someone who wants to speak in opposition? And then we will hear the other people. Go ahead, you can say your piece.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
yeah.
just wanna say, like, I have nothing against you guys, like, and I'm.
You know what?
It would be
Speak
best
to the-
to
speak
address
to
it.
us.
I'm happy that they're in the community. It's not about us hating open streets. I've lived in my neighborhood for 30 years. I've lived in that building for 30 years. I know what open streets is. I have a child that I raised in East Harlem. I appreciate the whole, I feel like we're missing what's happening here. And what's missing is that they're not being considerate of the neighbors that live across the street. And that, like, I would be happy to sit down and have a conversation with them. But like, but our weekends are basically co-ops. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through September, I have no control over whether or not I'm gonna have a peaceful weekend, one weekend, the entire summer. And what has been shown over the last couple of weeks is just like large parties. And she says, you know, that she doesn't know, like, I'm glad people are excited about the World Cup. I'm not like a Karen who thinks that people shouldn't have fun. But I think, you know, she has 7,000 Instagram followers. She's pulling people into our neighborhood, and it is hundreds of people. And I can take it. Somebody said last week, oh, you know, we live in New York. You know, I live in New York. I know you like allow for people to do things, you know, but it's like every weekend, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through September, I have to sit in my apartment and hope that I'm gonna have one weekend where there's not like 300 people on my street. And they do bring their tables out onto the street, and it's like our street becomes an extension of their restaurant. I want them to make money. I want everyone to be friends. I just feel like there needs to be some consideration for the people that live across the street. That's all I'm asking for. It's just like, does it have to be like, I'm happy, World Cup, everyone, whatever, the Knicks, it's fine. But like, but I feel like I'm on edge. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen this Saturday. Is it gonna be a DJ blasting into my bedroom window at 9:30, which is what happened in May? That was ridiculous. And like, there's no, like, they don't say like, hey, like, we're sorry, or like, what can we do to like mitigate the noise, or maybe we can turn down the amplification. It doesn't seem like that we're being considered in this, and that's all I'm saying. And those of you that don't live across the street, you don't know what it's like. I live right there, and it's like I have no peace every weekend all summer.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to, but it would be helpful. Do you make 311 noise complaints?
I have.
And have you saved those service request numbers? Because when you search them, it will tell you if, and they do respond and they'll say if, when they did. I know sometimes they come after the thing's already over, but the NYPD usually responds to, noise complaints. And when they come, they will say if they saw an issue or didn't. So if you had those service requests and it did verify that when they came, that they did see that. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't mean it did or didn't, but that would be helpful if you guys did have those, you know, because, you know, that would have something there. So you've been heard. I understand you do see more in the middle. Now, we will recognize other people, but when you, well, actually, we'll
I have a
take,
question for the side that just asked.
yeah, but I think we can save them all at the end. So,
Alright.
so, Gwen, I know you've been wanting to speak, so the floor is yours.
I sent some stuff over to you. I wondered if you guys could take a look at it and if you could post it on the screen. I sent 2 videotapes. And
Just to me or to Angel too?
sent it to Khalil this morning.
Khalid?
And so he has it.
Khalid's
Because
not
I
here.
think the thing is that if you don't live there and you're just talking about it, you don't really get it. So just last night, that was started at 5 o'clock last night. And that was Wednesday. Now, I'd like to show you Friday, okay? Because Friday was a different animal. I mean, this is what we listen to all night long, okay, until it gets stopped. Now, Jackie is talking about permits, so I'd like to make something clear. I have the permits. They were sent to me by DOT. She is permitted for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, okay? She is not permitted until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. First day she started was 9 o'clock in the morning, and we started out with blasting speakers into our houses and house music. This event just got bigger and bigger all day. I did bring time so you could see the people in the hot tubs and all the kids milling around. Now, that was the first day. And the next day was the open streets for children, the chalk and the lovely things for children. And I have to tell you something. I do not dislike our children. I'm the chair of the coalition to save PS1 and on. I worked for 10 years to turn that building back into a public school. So I don't think anybody here can question my integrity when it comes to children and community work. The other thing is that I am a resident for 40 years, and I have lived in this building for almost those whole 40 years. So I appreciate other people coming in and they're new in the neighborhood and they're talking about how long they're here, but their lack of consideration for this community is staggering. I want to tell you something. If the same party happened at Lawrence's projects, it wouldn't just be the police that would come over. It would be the SWAT team that would come over.
They sent them over when they first built that building.
We have a double
Most SWAT
standard.
team.
We have a double standard here. We have 300 people coming to our street. Last night, there was no permit. And I saw them as they come in, and then they got all the way across side to side on the street. There was no boundary to stop the cars from coming in, and the street was not closed. I called the police and I said, you have no boundary here. Any car could just drive down and hit those people. And it went on and got bigger and bigger and bigger until finally the police came again when I said, they're not permitted for this event tonight. And Jackie seems to feel our street is her private business. And I do take issue with one person making all that money and other people not even being allowed to participate. Our bakery in our building, Freddie, has been a wonderful, he had been a wonderful tenant for 20 years. He applied to be in open streets and he was turned down by DOT because they said if they turned on the corner, the fire department and police could not get through. So one standard for Freddie, she's on the exact same corner, but the opposite side, but another standard for Jackie. So all of the people that have come in tonight have very harsh words for me. They seem to think that it's just fine and you would like to live. If you would like to live in my apartment, I will switch. I'll take your quiet apartment and you can have this raucous crowd in yours. But I think it's not just the inconsideration. It's a lack of any kind of legal behavior, following any of the laws. You are not allowed in any street, all of this city, to drink liquor. Beer is liquor. You're not allowed to drink it. So on every table last night, I did see everybody had a cup in front of them. Then it starts to get louder and more rowdy. And you know, as these kids or people are coming in, they know they can do this here. And so they're doing it, they're getting away with it. Nobody's stopping it until the police finally come. These are not permitted events, and when they are, she doesn't follow the rules of the permit. She comes in when she wants to come in. And let me tell you something, I came home on Friday night, and Friday night, man, things were cooking. It was 9 o'clock. I knew she wasn't gonna close down. So she didn't close down her event until the police finally came at 11 o'clock. I have neighbors calling me on my phone, so stressed out that they're telling me they're gonna go up and physically fight her. I had to tell them, no, do not do that, because you'll be the one who's in trouble in the end. So while many of these people may live around us, I don't see too many that live in my building here. You're all smiling. Did I say something funny?
You gotta speak to us, please. We don't want to back and forth.
None of the people that I see here, who I recognize from my building, or from the buildings that are directly on my block, and maybe they are my block, and maybe they like to have a gigantic party in their living room. But in New York City, we have to follow the warrant of habitability, which guarantees all of us a peaceful life at home. And so I should not have sporadic parties like last night. This was totally, totally nothing to do anything about it. And people just started coming, and then they came more. And they're gonna keep coming. Because I don't think that the community board or DOT had any kind of control. I don't think they exert any kind of control. And the problem here is that, like, I see you basically giving her a pass for last night, saying, well, we know what happens, these things happen. Let me tell you something about these things.
Who said that here, though?
I-
No one said that.
Okay.
We're just hearing everything first. We haven't actually said anything.
Here's the thing I doubt, and community board leaders, that how are you gonna feel if something happens at one of these events? My neighbor broke her hand, and I tried to get her up the hill to the hospital. We couldn't even make up the hill, because both sidewalks are packed. Is this a safe environment? And by the way, if this is so great, then why isn't every other street in New York doing it? Because I have gone to every other street, all these street festivals, and they are usually children with chalk, books, learning experiences. Matter of fact, even Jackie's on her street was gorgeous, 101 Street. It was wonderful. It was quiet. It was relaxing. The children were there. There was quiet music. It was a very nice community thing. However, you're asking me to not only take on this raucous party of the kids coming from all over the globe to hot tubs and drink and do all those things, but now you want me to take the soccer tournament into my apartment whenever she wants, because we don't know if she feels there's enough business, she's going to start putting her tables in the street. I have never seen one business put their tables in the street, side to side, with no permit, with no permission, no nothing, and get away with it. I just want to know why this is so different for Jackie than every other restaurant in New York. Do you not think that other restaurants would not like to close off the street and have it as an extension of their business? Well, they would. I've been showing them the pictures. Bread and Wine wants to know why. Why is this happening on your street? Why, when my business is in the tank, am I not allowed in Lexington Avenue? Last thing I want to just say, shame on the Department of Transportation for not thinking this out. They didn't think that people would turn on each other. Their neighbors would turn on each other. And that's exactly what's happened. Because you can't give one to one and nothing to the other person and say, just stuff it and live with it. The last thing I want to say is people in my community that I know for many years are seeing this as a racial event. They are saying to themselves, I am Black, I am Puerto Rican, I get stopped by the police and I get told I can't even have a can of beer in a paper bag. I'm quiet, I'm just sitting on my stoop. Why is it that she's allowed to have 300 people and then some, make as much noise as they want, drink beer and party and do all that? Why are there two sets of laws? And what time are we going to say that we're going to show fairness and equity? How about being fair to the people that have to enjoy it?
Okay,
Thank you.
based on what you said, I actually do have a question regarding safety. You submitted let's call it a fire emergency plan when you came to the board for this, which I believe requires a 15-foot emergency lane for emergency vehicles. In what you put here, that appears to be going right down the middle, which is unusual because usually it's on the side. I was sent this picture, I believe, of the first Brazil game, and there is not 1 foot for an emergency vehicle. So now I know the 23rd precinct showed up and said this, but I'm just going to be honest, and the cops do a great job, but they don't know these rules. They're not all versed in this. They may show up and just see nothing really bad going on, and I'm not saying it is, and say everything's okay. But there's no way an emergency vehicle gets through this. So why did you put this here? And then this is clearly not, and I'll get to you, Asher. I just wanted to ask that because it was brought up. So go ahead and if you could answer that.
Okay, I'm gonna answer that question, but before, there was just so many lines.
Yeah, but I don't want the back and forth, so just answer my question.
We spoke to the fire department, we explained them the situation, and we said, as long as they're lightweight and we can move them quickly, we're gonna let it pass. That's what they told me. We spoke to them. We're not doing things as we we think it's okay. We're talking to the others.
But you see, here's the thing. I'm not saying you aren't, right? But you're coming to this board and you have many misrepresentations. Like, there are not many things on this application. It's the number of people you anticipate attending, when you're planning to do it, what hours you're planning to do it, and your emergency plan, and letters of support. Letters of support aside, none of this matches what your application says. So my thing is, you may be going and talking to the FDNY, you may be going and talking to NYPD, and they may be telling you these things. But what was represented to this board, just based, and you're not saying that it isn't the case, you're just saying, but I went to the FDNY and they said it was okay. But you have to acknowledge the fact that what you showed this board is not what's happened. Go ahead.
I understand, and I am here to fix all that I can fix, because I'm not doing any of these out of, not trying to trick anybody.
But you did say you said you'd have an emergency lane. You said it. So why would you come and say you were gonna do it and now ask us to tell you how to fix it? It's very clear. You gave us the plan.
We are back to the World Cup, unexpected number of people. This is when this happened.
That's not an excuse. That's your, you applied for this permit, that is your responsibility, not ours. So Asher, go ahead.
Just so I could get some more information, because I was looking at all the recommendation letters and signatures that you gave. I'm seeing most of it is from the school your children attend, like teachers more speaking about like your character in terms of a parent who has a child at the school. Do you have any more, letters from residents?
Well,
Cause I see a couple there, I'm just saying like a few more.
I touched bases with the board because I understood this was a small meeting in a small space, and I asked, because there was a lot of people that wanted to show up tonight. I said, is that okay? I understand it's a short time and it's a space limitation. And I was recommended to get letters of support. I had 2 days to get letters of support. You saw a lot of letters from the school because the teachers decided that everyone was gonna write a different letter. So that's one thing. The other thing, I have my father's house, is one of the churches that I am a member. For a season, they use our space. They wanted to tell how much we help them keep their work in the community going. Because we offer the space for them on Sundays, free of charge, so they can keep going while they did not have a space. We had neighbors. She wrote a letter. She lives on 101 Street. She had the open street happening at her door, at her window, for 5 years, because the open street was for 30-something years on 101 Street. It was just renamed Open Street, but before it was a children's aid summer program. So it's been there for decades. It's not new. So I had, a nurse. We are, since the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, we started a big campaign to Mount Sinai. We donated over 10,000 moose cups, because that's the only thing we were selling at that point. We had people donating, buying moose so we could donate more moose. So we created a big network with Mount Sinai through that campaign. And the nurse wanted to say, I want to represent you. So this is our community.
I
Okay.
understand, I'm just
Go ahead.
also
May I
like
also
talking.
answer? That's all right.
Can we?
Yeah. We have a long meeting,
I
so
don't necessarily.
Actually, go ahead.
I just wanna ask questions about what was put in front. Can I just ask her a follow-up question? about
one,
that?
and because I want one more thing, and then I want Jose to kind of,
And it was more, I know you had 2 days to put this together, I understand you saying that. But from 100th Street, were you able to, how many letters from 100th Street? Some of those letters didn't
but
specifically
let me
say-
say something, because I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, this is not a requirement. We're not questioning that there are a lot of people who support this. That is not a question. We're questioning, because here's the other issue that I'm seeing, right? Your World Cup event, I'm afraid, is actually casting a bad light on the open streets.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, you applied and now I'm looking as a block party for your event. That's why you can only do 1 day. And it gives you, as far as I'm aware, a much smaller fee for the permit. You could have applied for a multi-day street event. I believe they do not have to be consecutive days. So the reason you were only allowed to pick 1 day was because you applied for a block party. Now, Now, you didn't come, as far as I'm aware, to the board and ask them when you said you could only apply for one day. You didn't reach out and ask, how could I apply for more days? You went ahead and applied for a block party. And that's why you only got one day. And you probably paid about $25 for your permit. And if you'd done a multi-day street event, that would have been a different story. But that is not what was applied for here. So the reason I don't want to get into letters is because this is not a question. I'm not questioning that a lot of people support this or think this is a good thing. I'm simply questioning what was presented to us and what we have here to review. So that isn't a question, that's a comment. Now I want to pass it to Jose because we do have a long agenda.
Can I just say one thing?
One thing, go ahead.
I think it's a double standard here. I live in a house, the Lexington Avenue houses. I lived in this neighborhood since 1953. I was born in the 40s. I'm not someone that's outside the neighborhood. What she's doing is not bad, as long as she's making too much noise. She's getting privileges that we couldn't get. They closed down the picnics that we had in our project because the building across the street was just built and they complained about noise. What's the difference between the noise over here and the noise where she's at? She's no one special, no special than nobody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's a black and white thing, but it seems to be that way.
Me then,
We'll do two more hands, and we're gonna go, two more, no, two. What? Okay, so 3 hands, and then nobody tells me how many more hands are up. 3 hands. 1, 2, 3, and then Jose, and then we're gonna see what the committee wants to do, okay?
Hi, so just to provide some background about myself, I've lived on 101st Street my entire life, as has my mother, as has my aunt, my uncle, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother. My grandmother is also in charge of, well, she was in charge of the block parties that used to take place on 101st, which I'm very surprised, especially to hear from you, Glenn. You say that this is not a regular.
Kira, if you don't mind, just address it to us.
Sorry,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I am surprised to hear like this idea that this isn't something that happens in our neighborhood, because I just want to remind everybody. Hold on.
Quiet, nobody interrupt you, let her speak. Kira, just tell us, and no one will interrupt you again.
Okay. Anyways, so just to provide some perspective, because I understand the two are tied together now because of what's, because of the way they filed. And that's really the issue here. But, well, that was what was my understanding, was that.
You're correct.
And the World Cup thing are now tied together, which is why.
It appears that way.
Yeah.
You're right. I just said that myself, so keep going.
All right, so that being said, while I understand that there are many qualms, this is how many year old legacy? Almost like I want to say, yeah, David, how many years? 50-year legacy from 101st Street. My first job was actually with Open Streets via the Children's Society. I also, Jackie, Johan, they also gave me my first job after leaving an abusive relationship. I had nothing to go, like I had nothing really going on. They gave me my first job at Mojo. And then Open Streets was also, when I came back after that, that was also where I did my first video. I was with children. And so if we do need letters of support, if that matters, I can get letters of support from various shelters in the community, because I directed children from those shelters, Black, right? Because I'm Black and Puerto Rican. I've directed children from those shelters to Open Streets, knowing that they would be taken care of, because I would never, ever, ever, especially because I've lived to my whole life. I've seen, and we're gonna keep it a stack, right? I've seen how far gentrification has gone. And I think that we all need to be aware that we all play a part, right? And so we all need to be responsible for this space. This has always been, this is East Harlem. This is a neighborhood that is known for liveliness, for culture. I'm not saying that your qualms are not correct, but I do think that there's a way to work around this that does not completely take away a 50-year legacy. And to be perfectly honest, I feel so deeply disrespected to hear this be made into a race thing. Because,
That's what it is. That's what it looks like.
but you also,
Listen, everything's being noted, thank you.
I know you're blocked too.
the only reason, Mike, that's my grandpa. So the owner on 100, yes, my grandpa, 101st Street. It came from 101st Street. The reason why we moved it to 100, if y'all don't remember, is because we have construction of our own of the Children's Aid and Mount Sinai property. So we're talking about noise and things. We know noise too. We're hearing noise from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
We hear it too.
But the point
We hear
is,
the same
my
noise you do.
point
being, there needs to be a point where we all decide that we are going to create community and we're not gonna create divisiveness. Because if you
respect the residents on 100th Street.
Hold on, friend. If you continue to attack open streets, you will also be attacking a 50-year-old legacy, the preservation of East Harlem, El Barrio culture, and then the opportunity for people like myself to now work with Jackie and Johan, and then also bring partnership. This is my thing. Y'all want partnership? We can get some partnership. Also, here's another thing I wanted to say. I personally know the people who are running Lloyd's right now, and Lloyd's has also been working with open streets. They've been getting business since they moved from that small, tiny lot. Remember where they had the boxes lined up all the way to the top? All the way now they're where Mine, New York used to be. They've also been participating in open streets. Say all that to say, to the board, I'm hoping, I would strongly recommend that there are no strong moves made, because I think that this is still a program that can be preserved. And even, you know, at some point it's gonna go back to 100% anyways. That's all.
All right,
Thank you, Kira.
we're gonna go two more and then I think we have a position to to propose, all right? Go ahead, and 1, 2, and then it's gonna go to Jose. Try to take this home.
I'm a pragmatic person.
I
I've
got
only lived where I lived 15 years. So I'm primarily new to the neighborhood. But I want to ask each and every person in your mind, answer these questions. Number one, is it fair that the one day that you might have off, Friday, and then the other 2 days, the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, how would you feel if there was music outside of your apartment at 9:30 all the way until 10:30? That's number one. I heard the music all the way across the street on the 8th floor. That's number one. Number two, if you know anything about that neighborhood, you know that parking is horrendous. I've driven around that area. I've been here for 15 years. I sometimes spend an hour in my car just looking for a parking space. Now, I don't mind the parking spaces being taken on the weekends, but on Friday, you know, and then if you park on a block, you have to move your cars. That's number two. Ask yourself, is that fair? Number three is the alcohol. Like the gentleman said before, people who live on that block and there's shelter on that block, and the people who came on that block in the pools and all that, they were, you know, had beer, they had alcohol, but they were smart enough to put it in cups. And the police have come down that block and they stopped people on their stoop for drinking beer. Now, from what I understand, they say that if it's an open container, but that block doesn't relegate an open container. That's number three. Number four, and I'm coming through.
It's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, number four, and I want all of you to ask yourselves besides that, is that for the duration of July, August, and dates going into September, for those Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9:30 all the way until sometimes upwards of 10 o'clock, is it fair for you to have to be displaced, coming, some of those days, the people only have those days to go shopping, and the streets they're teeming with people. Is it fair? That's all I want to say. It has nothing to do with the kids in the program. And I'm not even saying it has anything to do with a black-white thing. I'm not saying that. But how does this woman get a permit from 9:30 in the morning until 9:30? How is that? Not only one day, I could see one day, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the duration of the summer? Ask yourselves, how would y'all do it? And if her block is not, they don't have construction, why don't she move it around the corner to her block?
Jackie does live on my block. She lives on 101st.
That's right.
That's okay.
You're saying, all right, we're noting everything. Last person, and we're gonna bring it back to the committee. Go ahead, ma'am.
You know, I think what I've been noticing is that,
Could you give your name?
oh, Laura, I live in the neighborhood. I'm all of your neighbors. I live on 101st. It seems as though this dialogue is leaving out the fact that, like, it was once a quiet neighborhood and now it is a loud neighborhood because of open streets and World Cup. No, I know it's not true, because for the last 10 months, from 6:30 in the morning to 7 at night, I have woken up to pile driving constantly, to the point where I needed to leave my apartment. It's right, it's construction, but my point is.
Just stay on this and you're understood.
But
Go
the
ahead.
point is that if there's a noise, and I would much rather prefer that it would be, it's sounds of life, isn't it? The pile driving is done, but now it's jackhammering and it's constant. And so it's not like open streets and the World Cup viewing parties suddenly changed the neighborhood from a quiet one to a loud one. And to the gentleman's point earlier, I also hear music under my window from residents blasting music all day long. I don't go down and complain because that is what Harlem is about. That is what Spanish Harlem is about. And if I have an issue, like I discuss it with them, but it's not, I would rather hear the noise of celebration and life than the noise of construction. And I'd rather the money that's coming in go to small businesses and to people who've invested in the community than, to Mount Sinai, the people who are gonna spend their money there. Like, it is a valuable part of our neighborhood. It is bringing funds in to help local businesses survive, thrive, survive. And it's not quiet. I mean, I think if the neighborhood could vote, we'd all rather listen to the World Cup than the incessant construction that's been going on for a year and will continue for years.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna take, I think there's like 3 hands from the committee, because we have a lot of stuff to go through. We got EDC and Asher, Jewel. Okay, so Asher, Jewel, and Candy, and then Jose's gonna try to wrap this up for us.
So, just to get some history to people, I'm obviously growing up, I grew up on 102nd Street in Lexington. I grew up going to Children's Aid. I grew up with pretty much David disease my whole life, pretty much going into the open streets. That's what children of this neighborhood look forward to growing up. That's what we all look forward to. That was always like, regardless of, I know people are saying it's gotten out of hand or whatever. I've seen it, and I've seen different generations. I also work in a school, and some of the kids do talk about going there on the weekends. They love going to it. I don't think it's something that should necessarily be shut down. Of course, like Adam said, there's a permit problem. But I don't think necessarily a permit problem should be the reason to shut something down.
There's no point of clarification. There's not a permit problem with the open streets. There's a permit problem.
With the World
The World Cup event is creating a lot of issues for the open street. We're gonna clarify that as we wrap it up. So I just wanna make that clear to you. It's
And I
not a
also
permit.
wanna say, because a lot of people keep mentioning construction and stuff like that, there's construction all around this neighborhood. I don't think that that's a fair thing to compare or something to, the noise, the music going on in the street. So I just wanna make sure that we keep that separate to what is the task at hand.
Thank you, Asher.
Everyone talking about music and stuff like that. There's always been music, regardless if there was an open street or not. People outside this neighborhood stand out, and my mom told me growing up, people would just stand on the summer with a boombox or
It's
something.
not just this neighborhood. These
Yeah,
big
it's not-
Nicolak
it's a normal
apartment,
thing. It's in New
yeah,
York City.
we understand that. It is New York City. That is well said, noted, but within reason. Can't just say you live in New York City and then do whatever you want either, but Jewel,
No,
go
but
ahead.
I think it's just also just like.
I agree with you to an extent.
Necessarily what people
Jewel.
decide.
Just
Okay.
for clarification in terms of what's allowable, is liquor or beer allowable?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Thank you.
Candy,
So, my thing is listening to everybody on both sides. I hear the inconsideration and I hear the consideration. The thing about this is that from 9:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, I think it's too excessive and it is inconsiderate. And if you can just at least have consideration and understand, 9:30 is too early. If you can at least get them and the working people, give the working people and the people from the residents some consideration. 12 o'clock, I could understand, but 9:30 in the morning, no, if I was living there, I would be upset too. Because I work, and I tell you one thing, my Saturdays, I'm right there on Park Avenue. All right, like someone here mentioned about construction, talk about Park Avenue, the viaduct from 11:30 in the night, okay? We're not in Silk Stocking community, all right? We're 11:30 at night to 5 o'clock in the morning. You hear me drilling and all this kind of stuff, okay? They're getting ready for the World Cup under the Marqueta. I'm right across the street. I hear the clanking everything, just so everybody got their special day for the Marqueta's World Cup. And we have to deal with that, our community, okay? But one thing is that I'm asking is consideration. 9:30 is too early for you to start booming and banging and I love music and I love my culture. Because I'm one that I like to have my music on loud when I'm cleaning or even when I want to hear it. But one of the things is that I have consideration. So I know one thing for sure, you had already your platform for the late. Right now is my time. So I'm just saying, the consideration has to be at night, not 9:30 in the morning. It has to be 12 o'clock.
Candy, I think,
The hours are
yeah,
12 o'clock.
Yeah, but if they starting at
But
9:30.
that's what we're gonna get to
That
now,
cannot
because we can say whatever we want, or we can decide we're gonna take positions.
That's
I'm not recognizing any more hands on this. Jose, take this home.
This started in public safety. I think that we were missing information. I think hearing both sides, we've had a significant amount of clarification. From our understanding, the open streets is not the issue. The open streets, I think everyone is happy and in favor of. What the issue is, the other events that are being mixed into the open streets. I believe this is the issue. Your May event, which is kind of a co-sponsorship, which never came to the community board. Also, this event was supposed to start at 12. So why there was music at 9:30, I have no idea.
That's not.
No, no. It says 12. Setup is 10. Setup. Setup is not music. 10 is setup. It says 12. But right here it says event hours 12 to 7.
That's my license.
I know, it says 12 to 7.
Listen, we don't need to get into
Doesn't-
we don't need to
again,
get into semantics
Doesn't
here.
matter.
Get it.
I
don't need to-
think if you guys are very interested in keeping this open street, you mixing all these other events is a problem. You do not have a permit for the World Cup. You did a block party that is one and it passed. So my recommendation that we're gonna do tonight to this committee will be that we will leave open streets as it is. We will monitor that situation, but we will have to take a position against these World Cup parties until we have already reached out to DOT and see if and how they get a permit or they don't. But currently there is no permit. There is no reason that street should be closed for a World Cup event. So we can't just simply like close our eyes and make believe like that happened. And for instance, in the future, you should be aware, like all of you that are in favor of open streets, if you're mixing events with an open street and it's a drinking event, it will lead to contentiousness, right? It says up here, setup time is 10 a.m., breakdown is 7 p.m. Your event for the running club was from 12 to 7, and we have neighbors saying that at 9:30 there was music being played. So at that point, there is an inconsistency. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that you can't have these kind of events, but that you have to permit them correctly. You have to put the right hours so that you can get what you need. But you are mixing them with open streets, and that is going to cause a problem for the open streets. If we want the open streets to remain in the general direction of what they are, a family-oriented event, then you can't put a family-oriented event with a situation where people are drinking. And it causes a disbalance, or have it a different day, or time it correctly. It says here 12 to 7, setup is 10. 10 setup means you're setting things up, doesn't mean you're blasting music. So, I'm sorry, I think we had enough, so I think we're gonna go to the committee. The committee, I got this. Okay, look, we're not gonna touch the open streets right now. We are gonna monitor that this is done from 6 to 9 p.m. on Friday, from 12 to 9 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. If there are still noise issues, I ask that you call 311, document them, the time will be shown, we will go by ourselves, I will go there myself. What I've seen of the actual open streets though, what's been advertised online, everything, I don't think anyone would have an issue with that. Kids playing, jump roping, music, this and that. And it really is a shame that this event has actually, the biggest, I believe, opposition of this open street is the World Cup event and how it's been done. Not that it's a bad thing. So we're not gonna take a position, but I am gonna ask for a letter to SAPO, copying DOT, the 23rd precinct, and our electeds, that there is not a permit for this World Cup event, and that we ask that be ceased until
there's another application put forward, which we will consider like we do anything else with no promises. But at the moment, there is no permit for this. So maybe SAPO doesn't know. We need to, I believe, issue a letter. So if somebody from the committee would like to make a motion that we let SAPO know with those other parties involved, that there is no permit for this and we are in opposition to this continuing without a permit. Is there a motion for that? Okay, to write that letter, and that's seconded by Candy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can we do roll? Just because.
I don't think we need to. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Rosa.
Xavier, what did you say?
Aye. I
Okay,
provided.
thank you. All right, let's wait.
Rosa's
Rosa, you're opposed?
Yeah.
Any president not, any president not voting?
Yeah, I was also no.
You're a no?
Derek, no. President not voting? Abstentions?
Abstentions? Okay, so we have two no's, and are you,
I don't vote.
you're president, oh, you know,
Tricky. So
your presence makes me feel it, but, okay, so the motion passes. All right. That's it for this. You guys are welcome to stay. It gets more boring from here, so. Oh, we handled that. Of course.
Gonna be a radio show on Wednesday, WBA.
Like, nothing.
You're on this agenda.
That area. I'm not against it.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, if you're talking about this, let's exit, or you could stay, but I'm gonna need quiet on this. All right. So I apologize to, HPD and EDC, sorry, you know, we're gonna go to A. I guess,
We wanted to show them an example of community board work.
And if they don't like something, you know what they're
I live about 96 of them, so I've been to party on it.
so I felt bad keeping you here, but you guys enjoyed it, right? Okay, so we'll put you at the end of all agendas then.
You know what community board meetings, then now you know, right?
That's right. That's right.
What's this in regard to?
This is regarding the festival for September 20th.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even, here, you could bring that up.
Let's do
You
no
could go-
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, we'll get to that. Well, we can bring that up in, new business.
Whole business.
Or old business, it is, but we will talk about that. All right, so we're gonna go to a presentation regarding development plans for the remaining development lots of East 125th Street Development Project. So presenting our EDC and HPD, floor is yours, the presentation is up there. Thank you.
Modern. Just making sure all.
I'm loud enough, so my name is Madison Hernandez. I'm with the EDC, Government and Community Relations Team. Thank you for inviting us
I
to.
can't see you, Madison.
What?
Where are you? I
Oh,
can't see you.
we're here, everyone, all my colleagues. Here to talk about East 125th Street. I'm joined by many EDC teams within and our HPD colleagues, and there's gonna be another fun presentation afterward on a very exciting project, but really just wanting to take the opportunity while we're in early stages of this of the MEC campus and talking specifically about the AE swap, which we've been invited to speak about, understanding that they're going to be similar to many initiatives we've come to recently. There are a lot of questions about the details of this proposal, but once again, we're very early on in an effort to making sure that you hear from us directly and you have the opportunity to understand not only the project goals, but the timelines that we're proposing, so you can understand the milestones that are incoming and where feedback will be incorporated and what's to come. So we're really excited to talk to you about East 125th Street, and as well as some of the
the commitments that have been made as part of this rezoning process. We know that when we came back a couple of months ago to talk about the B East piece of this parcel, there were a lot of questions about the rezoning and the commitments that were made to this community as part of that. We're gonna walk through the vision previously made in 2008 and the ways in which this project has changed events, in the ways that this neighborhood has shifted, and the goals of this rezoning are in some ways not as applicable, and so how the city is addressing those issues. So I'm gonna hand it over to walk through.
Thank you, Madison. I'm gonna present from here if that's okay. Thank you to the board for inviting us. We brought the whole team with us this time. Excited. So Madison said, and we were asked a few questions. We wanted to go back to revisit how we were thinking about this, unpack how we were thinking about this project, how we were thinking about this project back in 2008. This project was originally went through 2008. It was governed entitlement review from that Parliament review. It's not 2008 anymore. The world has obviously changed a lot since 2008. And it's on the site. So we're going to talk through what's still applicable, what we're intending on doing currently under from the original 2008 vision, and also how we're thinking about different avenues to activate the sites. This is constructed here. So on this slide, this is a very old image. The original vision for the site was sort of twofold. Partly residential, delivering 800 to 1,000 units of residential, and partly commercial, job generating. It's millions for office, big box retail, specialty retail in there. That's where the immediate news that we campus comes from. Part of this has moved forward. We think we have a lot of big news, which we talked about on the residential front, but the commercial, not so much. The world has changed a little bit. We could talk about crisis, a lot of reasons for that. We are rethinking the commercial strategy for this project. I'm getting into myself. So the site today reflects the challenges of the landscape. That being said, there have been projects delivered on the residential side of things. One East Harlem, the C block, 450 units of and the Proton Center. 450 units of residential, 80% affordable across both of those. We are also in the process of the HPD is to speak about projects on the B block we want to finish out in line with the 2008 plan. So when all is said and done on the B block, B center is the way we can talk about that. B East, we've come and spoken with this board about. We are in the process of releasing an RFP for that further development of that site. So together, the B block, when fully executed, will go above and beyond vision of 2008. We want to do this in line with the original that 2008 zoning. So we'll have close to 1,100 units, not 800 or 1,000. 880 affordable, which is over and above the 800 total that we're envisioning, that were in the deal originally. 81% affordable, not 80% affordable. And then the local investment fund. A lot of the purpose of the local investment fund at the time was to offset some of the negative impacts, precipitated impacts of the development. And it was always envisioned to be through the closing of the sets. So we're discussing. I want to speak a little longer. Sure. So we talked about the B block and those projects underway. That leaves the A block north of 126, basically with that site. And then we're so with that, they move over to Rachel to talk about.
Hi everyone, Rachel Arrington. So shifting to the remaining sites, and again, in keeping with talking about the original plan and where we are today. So what you can see on the slide here, shaded in pink, are the two sites that we're here to talk about, A West and A East. So this was, plan really sort of pivot post 20s Harlem, which again looks different than that 2008 image that Dave spoke about, reflecting sort of changes in the market, especially after the financial crash. But I think the bottom line here is still this idea of bringing, retail and commercial. A West was envisioned to be a hotel. There was an RFP on that site that failed. And A East was envisioned to be 300,000 square feet of commercial office. A lot that has changed in the landscape of commercial office, particularly post-COVID, that just makes that original program challenging. And I think, something we've heard from the community is just these sites have continued to sit vacant. And so that's part of why we're here talking about this new strategy of critically how to bring active uses to these sites that are not sitting vacant. Been sitting vacant for 15 years, and that's something that we're really strongly thinking about how to activate and bring these uses. So today we're here really to introduce what we're calling sort of the residential plan for these sites. And like Madison said, we are really early in this process. And so we will do our best to answer the questions that you have, but just underscoring that, we are early in this stage. There's a lot of additional analysis that will be forthcoming. But really excited to be here alongside our colleagues from DOE and SCA to share that the vision here, building on the success of the existing MEC campus, which paired residential and community serving uses, really carrying that forward by bringing housing along on the A parcels, in addition to space for two new public schools as well. So again, really continuing pairing housing with critical community serving uses, thinking about the needs of East Harlem, supporting families, supporting youth here. And so to talk a little bit more about what that'll look like, again, that's that same image with A West and A East with a new proposal. I'll hand it over to HPD to talk at a high level about A West, but I will note that they have an additional in-depth presentation as well. So this is sort of like the high level snapshot. HPD.
I'll stand up for this. Can you hear me? I'm Melanie Rodrigo. I'm with HPD. And so just speaking in terms of the A West site. So as you can see, it's number one. And this is just in terms of advancing EBC's vision, building to housing strategy. And currently this site is proposed as a proposal. And so at that fronts Third Ave. Right now, the development team here will speak on if the proposal is estimated to 400 total units, of which those units would be 100% affordable. And that would be on a combined vacant city-owned lot with the adjacent privately owned lot, which is the United Moravian Church of New York. That's not highlighted, but it's the development team, who again is present here today, will speak more about the proposal. Again, it's a partnership between affiliates of Fulcrum Properties and Architecture, Roses Soul Realty, and Slate Property Group. The proposal will also include around 15,000 feet of sanctuary space, and that would replace the United Moravian Church, which is again that private site. And then in addition is the 10,000 per square feet retail facility for the new proposed development. And I'll hand it back to.
So again, that was the A West, and again, there will be additional, more detailed information about that. But shifting to A East, which again, we are very early in our understanding, but at broad strokes, again, prioritizing 250,000 square feet for two new public schools at the base of the building and residential onto roughly 700 units. And just acknowledging that effectuating this vision for both A West and A East will require land use action. And so that is a part of our process, our plan, and our timeline, and again, part of our ongoing conversations and dialogues with the board. I hand it now to Dave.
Just a refresher, with the schools coming on A East and residential above, there is an opportunity, to the extent that there is land value on that site, to think about how that could be reinvested into projects to achieve either greater ability or benefits to be discussed. The point here is that value on the site, you want to keep all the value within the project, within analysts. East to the extent possible.
And then just before we talk timeline, I just want to take a step back for a moment and just, there's a lot of projects that are happening in East Harlem. A lot of projects that EDC is working on. And we just want to speak to, again, the ways that we are thinking about not just the site, but also the broader neighborhood. And so, many members of also the Harlem African Burial Ground team, which is just across the street, which will be delivering cultural space, and a permanent outdoor memorial. We're also thinking about Julia de Burgos site. There was an RFP that was just released for an operator and really thinking about how to maximize the cultural space there. Some upgrades into the facilities as well, and also again continuing to work with the council member and with our school partners on relocation for the Heritage School, really to maximize the cultural facilities there. And so there's a lot of work that's happening here, and there's a lot of ways that we're thinking about, again, not just this project, but how it relates to the full suite of projects that at least EDC is involved in the neighborhood, acknowledging that it's also just a snapshot. Okay, and then our last slide here.
And just to close this out, once again, to ground us, that the two projects that we've recently discussed with the board, one was Speak East a couple of months ago, and then now A East, and Amos will have will be the second presentation here tonight from our partners in the front row. But just to ground us in the timeline of what we're anticipating for these sites. So as you can see, we're in very early stages. And so with B East, we're anticipating on releasing this RFP in the coming weeks. I know originally we had come to the board 2 months ago and it was more imminent. We're wanting to collect feedback from this board and understand best how to activate the uses at that site. So we delayed ourselves a little bit, but just to make sure that we're giving the proper time needed to develop this proposal in a way that reflects the community priorities. And then as well on A East, once again, we're at the very beginning. This is really a vision for what you see for AEs, which includes, as Rachel mentioned, the 2 new public high schools and residential. And we're anticipating sites, BEs looking to open in 2031. That's an as of right project, so there's no land use action required for that site, but for AEs, we're looking for land use. There will be a land use action for this site. So as you see, in kind of like the last bar, where you see seeker and Euler, so environmental review will likely happen in 2027 through 2028, which will be, as you all are very familiar, coming to this body to talk about the project, giving you the full scope of the environmental review, having to go through the community engagement process and public moments. So you certainly will be hearing from us in the future, whether you like it or maybe not. But those are some of the milestones that we anticipate as of right now. And as we will always say when we're showing timelines, these are our proposed timelines. These are conservative estimates based on other projects that we've done, but looking to deliver these schools by 2031. Deliver the schools to SCA by 2031. And just want to acknowledge that we do have some of our partners on the line as well from ECF and DOE to also speak for any questions that may come up related to that. So just wanted to acknowledge our partners and Lauren Wolf, who's on the real estate team virtually. But with that, that's our presentation. So thank you. My email address is very tiny, not intentionally, but Madison Hernandez at
Thank you. I want to, Angel, yep. Go ahead.
There's one more slide.
We have,
You changed your mind about the last one?
there's a bit like if folks wanted the link to the POA and.
Oh, can we see this? Yeah, this is, go back to that, no, to the lift stuff. Yeah, that one, thank you.
Have they identified the second school? So before we go to the school, if I may.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, So the local investment fund, right, the LIF, it's supposed to be $10 million. This was a promise from 2008.
Yeah.
It's 2026. That $10 million, and it's, if I may, it's, probably doesn't go as far as it did. Yet, that said, we also don't have the vast majority of the money promised all this time later. And I think there was a number there of $1 million, that we don't have $1 million. It's a couple of $100,000, because we like, you know, the people on the board of the LIF have access to the account, and there's not enough funds. So what is the plan for the rest of that promised $10 million? And is there any thought been given to increasing that? Because once we start identifying at some future point local businesses to go into the, you know, commercial spaces like this, you know, development, once it's finally delivered, $10 million is not gonna go very far, right? So those are my two questions. What's the plan, and has any thought been given to increasing that number? And I'll hold my other questions for now.
I'm gonna go ahead and flip back to this slide, which I think are much probably will say too, but.
Yeah, so I can speak to the LIF, it has, as far as I understand, $250,000 in it today. That was sourced from the B West closing. So the planned fund for LIF was going to come from the closings, particularly of the commercial sites, which were envisioned to generate value to then put into the LIF. That has not materialized. There's the 100% forward projects turning value to put into the LIF. So that is some.
I'm sorry, Gabe, this is really loud. That's why I keep asking you to speak louder.
Yeah, so that's why today there's only $250,000 in the LIF. Again, LIF is a separate board bylaws. That's what we showed in that slide, is the language from the original PMA. I believe we have an agreement, council member, to contribute the additional value from the east to the extent that there is any, also to the LIF. We think that that is about $1 million. So that's an estimate right now. We will sharpen our pencils on that and have a clear review when we get responses, but right now, $1 million projecting $1 million going to the LIF as a result of these. That's what we can speak to today.
Angel, if I could add, like, we, you know, the thought for the LIF was always that it would be funded by the developers of the properties, or by the one developer, because we thought it was all one site. But yeah, but like Gabe said, you know.
Who's speaking, please?
Oh, I'm
Lauren.
sorry. This is Lauren Wolf from EDC.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I apologize.
Okay, don't worry about it. I just wanted to know. Go ahead.
So, you know, it was always intended to be funded by the developer. We thought it was going to be one developer for all of these 7 parcels now. And so, yeah, like Gabe was just saying, the only 2 parcels left, you know, because A West and B Center are 100% affordable. The only 2 parcels left are B East and A East. So those are the 2 opportunities to make fundings to the LIF. And like Gabe said, you know, the plan is for B East to fund the LIF with any, you know, proceeds that exist after the fees.
So we're not getting to $10 million is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
And the Proton Center was not part of the original vision. I am old enough to remember the term carve out being referred to the Proton Center. So the Proton Center isn't part of the MEC, right? Because it was carved out. And if it wasn't carved out and that's fully commercial, why hasn't that contributed to the LIF?
I guess because we thought, if I'm being totally honest, like, I think at the time the Proton Center happened, we thought that the remaining, like, if you think about that, that was like 2015, and the retail market wasn't like where it is today. There was still hope that there would be like a big office building. Like, I think we thought all the remaining sites would generate value in a way to fund the LIF. It's only like sitting here today in 2026 that we're like, okay, you know, the amount of affordable housing is clearly so much more than was like envisioned in 2008 for this project. So like the project just shifted in a way that, you know, it shifted in 2015 with Proton Center, but also it's really shifted since then. There just aren't, you know, I wish there was more value in the retail. And then I don't know, you know, the affordable housing has happened here, and that's clearly very good, but it doesn't lead to this excess of proceeds that would fund the LIF in the way that it would if it was like big box retail and commercial office and a bunch of market rate housing.
Thanks. So the amount of retail that this project would have now is how many square feet? And how are local small businesses supposed to afford fit outs or whatever the intention of the lift was today without the assistance promised by the lift then? Like I think the intention then is like the promise from then is one that we're not going to meet. But that's a problem, right? Like how do we show our face to our community saying, well, this went away? And like this was an opportunity to like, we have a lot of new members that don't know, but we have some veteran members that do know. And they've been waiting all this time, and now seems like the lift is dead on arrival. Like $1 million is not gonna do much of anything. It's gonna do even less than the 10 million that the point I was making earlier.
I mean, you know, B West has 5,000 square feet of local retail. They've had trouble finding local businesses to be their local tenants. That said, the rents there are not super high. You know, everyone across the city just has trouble doing, you know, leasing to retailers, and this project is no exception. I will say though, B Centers, it's slated for 15,000 square feet of local retail, and they will do the same thing that B West did. You know, it's discounted rents, preference to businesses. The way local retail was defined in this POA is 5 different community boards, so they will do that. They'll give that preference to the 5 local community boards and do a rent that's at a discount to the prevailing market rent, which is frankly not that high, but you know that still is happening. It's just that in reality, like there haven't been businesses to. I mean, you guys know you're on the board of the lift. There haven't been businesses who've like wanted to be at B West and then have come looking for money from the lift. I'm not aware of anything that's, you know, there's ever been a business that's requested it.
And my last question for now. With all this retail space, if we're having this difficulty, if everyone's having this difficulty filling retail space, and we particularly here in East Harlem, not to argue against adding, but since we're adding, like, what's the forecast for us having successful retail spaces in this project once it's fully delivered? Anyone? So we're gonna have empty storefronts in this project like we have everywhere else. They'll just be new. So I'd love to at some point sit around the table and bang our heads together and figure out how the hell we're gonna fill these things. Because we already have this problem, right? And adding more, it's hard to, as a community board, to argue for less retail, especially on our main street or one of our main streets. But goodness, like it's gonna be a lot of empty. Right, and I promise I'm finishing. And in a part of the district that is really challenged, once those buildings are up, and I hope they're up, I pray for this neighborhood that they're up at some point soon. Having all that housing there would be great, will be great, but having all the empty storefronts is gonna be a massive problem. There's just gonna be more areas for the challenges that we already have to linger. So let's set up another meeting. We gotta like seriously talk about this, but this is a problem in the offing. Okay. I'll save my other ones.
I want them though.
Nope, I'll get to it.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I meant. Who else? Eric?
So I have some questions about the schools. So in disclosure, I'm a New York City public high school assistant principal. So, just putting that out there.
Don't clap.
Definitely don't clap. But the end of the school year is coming. One of my questions is like, why two schools? New York City is facing an enrollment crisis. The school age population is going down and has probably peaked. Small schools are in jeopardy of continuing and running, and I'm curious why two high schools, and connected to that, is one or both of them a relocation? Is one or both of them new schools? Then other questions connected to the schools is, you had that timeline there. I guess like my school, it's located in a building from the 40s, and it's just the school. So I don't know quite the relationship will be between these schools and the building at large. If you can speak to this whole like construction leading up to delivery to the SCA, and then like what would be an anticipated timeline for when the SCA gets the building, and what does that mean? They're continuing to fit out of the school. I'm just curious about those two things connected to the school's part of aims.
We're gonna turn, we have colleagues from ECF and DOE on the line, if they could please, respond to like school questions.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Jennifer Maldonado from ECF. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? There were a lot of questions there, some that I can answer, some that I will not be able to answer. And unfortunately, our colleagues from SCA could not join tonight. So this, I'm sorry. So this move or this construction of a high school building was precipitated by the very long, protracted, never-ending saga of ECF's project at 96th Street and the obligation to the community to move the two high schools whose facilities are challenging at best. And over the course of the last 10 years, pardon? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. And over the course of the last, I would say 5 or so years, in having conversations with this community board, having conversations with Angel, having conversations with SCA and DOE, I was looking for an opportunity to meet that obligation, knowing that our 96th Street project is still not moving as we would like it to move. And so we saw this as an opportunity to find a new home for these two high schools. So that answers in a sort of roundabout way the first question as to why these two schools are being located in this particular program. Wow, and I'm having a hard time remembering all of the other questions
Well,
that came
let's stay
right
on,
after.
excuse me, let's stay on that for a minute.
Yeah.
And then Derek, you gotta, so my question is, and anyone can answer this, if those two schools that were supposed to go on 96th Street are now going here, what are we gonna do on 96th Street when that happens?
Yeah, so as ECF, as I run ECF, I have committed, and I will put this in writing, that if and when that project moves, then that First Avenue side of the block where the two school buildings were to be constructed would be given back to DOE, with the not clear as to whether it would be for education purposes, but not clear what schools would go in there, given that we're talking about a timeline. Even if we were to start in a year or so, it would be like 10 to 12 years before this new school building would be available for the community.
So I'm just a little confused. So on 96th Street, there would just be more schools put there. So we're moving two schools here and then we're gonna put more schools there.
No, actually, I wasn't saying that.
So I
I
guess
was
I'm
saying,
just asking, then what is happening? There was, maybe you're not the right
yeah,
person to ask.
no, no,
I
no,
don't know.
I am the right
What are
person
we
to
doing
know.
with that space now, though?
Okay, so if that, what I was trying to explain, if the project, I'm sorry, could you not hear me or was that something else?
No, we're not talking. Go ahead.
So if the project were to move forward, it would be within the same ULURP, and the obligation would still be there to construct a DOE facility for East Harlem. So having said that, if the community or if it's not of use, we can think through other things to utilize that space. I said school building in 10 to 12 years, there may be a need for a new school building. That's hard to forecast what the need would be at that time.
I mean, that kind of answers it more. I don't feel like that was said the first time, but go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, if I can just lend an assistance, we don't get distracted. So on the ECF project, there was a massive upzoning approved in order to incorporate these two high schools.
Correct.
Right, so that's a, I'm just summarizing for the tape.
Correct.
I know you know. So like ECF owes us two schools. Yes. Right?
Correct.
Two high schools. So what they're saying is, we're gonna do them over here on 128th Street. So you get the two high schools you asked for. This community asked for it and approved the ULURP. However, because of that upzoning, they have a whole bunch of square footage on 96th Street that they have to still deliver. They're still not looking for it. So that's what she's like, you're getting the two high schools relocated, so they're gonna get new facilities on 128, but you're still gonna get, new school facility on 96th Street as well. And then what goes in there is TBD, but it'll be DOE, square footage.
Exactly. I'm sorry if that was, I wasn't speaking as clearly as.
You have to add the stuttering. They don't understand that. So.
Okay, sorry.
Hi, Jennifer, this is Nilsa, hope all is well.
Hi.
I can't see, but I know you're there and.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought I was on the screen, so.
I just can't see, but. Jennifer, originally, hi, Jennifer. Originally, the project on 96 was 3 high schools. It was Co-op Tech, Park East, and Heritage.
Yes.
So is my assumption, so then the two high schools that may be incorporated here would be Heritage and Park East. Is Co-op Tech then, do you have any information on Co-op Tech? Would that be the school that would be considered for 96th Street or no?
Right, so Co-op Tech was always part of, and it's the sort of linchpin of the project. So if we were to move forward, Co-op Tech would be the first thing honestly constructed on the parcel. So all of the sort of design of the parcel is still as it was, with Co-op Tech being the first part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's my fault. Now we'll bring it back, but I thought we had to know that. Well, we need to know, right?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. But to be honest with you, and it wasn't about you, I asked this question, not to you, a couple months ago, and we were told that they really know what was gonna happen there. So thank you for clarifying that. Rosa, I wanna not really stay on this, but go, yeah.
I wanna know if you have notified Manhattan High School President's Council, and also have this been run by the CEC in District 4?
Okay, so I'm gonna turn that over to Caitlin Whitmore from DOE's Office of District Planning. And I think Caitlin can speak through the engagement and how a decision like this gets done and approved.
Thanks. Hi, folks. Caitlin Whittemore, New York City Public Schools. Hi, Rosa. We go way back. It's great to be here with you all. So as we get closer to the date, we are going to engage with Community Education Council 4. We're going to engage with the school communities. We are going to talk to CCHS, Citywide Council for High Schools. We're going to talk to local elected officials and have elected briefings. We know that, use of the space is a priority, and we intend to have, a long engagement process that can look like many things Ultimately, it would go in front of the panel for educational policy for a vote. And, you know, I handle a lot of the legal aspects of the process involved with a reciting, which is posting educational impact statements, you know, notifying via a joint public hearing, sending family letters, having engagements at the school leadership team level with the schools. However, we are quite a ways away, many years away, as we can see in this timeline, but we will be in engagement with the school communities for this site as we get closer to the date. And that is also required by Chancellor's Regulation A19B.
Okay, Asher?
Quick question for New York State Public Schools.
Yeah.
Will the schools be, because these are two small schools, mostly Park East, they are in the former music building, so a lot of the classrooms are the size of a practice room. So, so will they be expanding their enrollment? And will they become, like Park East, I think they're both zone schools. Will they still remain zone schools when they move?
Sorry, the question is what will happen?
Will they be expanding enrollment and will they remain zone schools?
The two high schools are not zoned high schools. They are open to the city. I believe Park East is either screened or open admission, and Heritage is also an open admission school. They do not have zones. But as we get closer to the date, once we engage with the community on a bunch of really important needs in District 4, some of them being also reciting Park East and Heritage, then we can assess, you know, the need to expand the schools or change the schools.
Okay, but they will be receiving more space to expand enrollment, right? And it's only these two schools going there.
We don't know definitively which schools will go in there. We need to have a full assessment with the community as we get closer to the date to make sure that will be the case.
Rosa, before anybody asks, it's because, and Caitlin can walk through this, because there has to be a PEP approval. So that is the final say-so about reciting. So while the Department of Education will put this forth as a priority, advocate for it, it still has to go to the PEP. So the notion is that these two schools are going in there, but there is a PEP process that's a legal process. That's why they can't say for 100% certainty those two schools.
That's crazy.
Melissa, go ahead.
So Jennifer, I remember, because I was on this board when this project came up, and I remember the trotting out of young children and high school kids to come in to get the board to do a yes vote on this humongous project. And this board only voted and not in opposition because 3 schools were going in there, and especially the 2 that have the most need in this community. So while I understand that there's a process, I really hope that these 2 schools that have been waiting for years with no funding on the SCA and us looking for spaces, that now a community project that they're going to use a parcel to potentially do affordable housing to house 2 schools, that they're going to try to put another school in there.
But Rosa, let me just say this,
It's not Rosa. It's
I'm sorry.
Milsa.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's late for me. I'm sorry, Nisa.
Our process.
No.
And how we voted. So I'm just saying, whatever the legal process is, I'm hoping that those 2 schools that in the DOE's infinite wisdom, however they vote and whatever that those 2 schools are the ones that are going to go in there, because you're going to have a revolt in this community about constantly giving back and not getting what it gets, to then get cheated out of the 2 schools that most need space.
Again, no disagreement on that, and that's what the proposal will be put, that's what the proposal will say in it, so.
All right, Asher, and then,
Hi, my name is Asher Rodriguez. So my question is, geographically, they will now become District 5 high schools. So that also affects our students in terms of them moving. So how will that, and funding, so how will that work?
I don't know if that's the case. I don't know, Caitlin.
I don't
will.
believe so.
No, geographically, when they move up there, that is District 5. When they move, specifically where this building will be located is District 5. So.
Got it. That was not my understanding. My understanding was that this building is located in Community School District 4.
No, it's the
Which,
school
what is the
district.
building address?
Two hundred. Of course, yes.
Okay, all right. Angel, you had additional things you want to say? Because then I would like to make final comments and we'll go from there. So,
To get them back.
Yeah. I want to move this on. Candy, please. Asher, we have way too much side talking tonight. Go ahead, Angel.
So back to the main.
Not just you, in general, sorry.
Back to the main project. In terms of cultural space, like you guys shared a lot of information, I appreciate that. And maybe I missed a piece about the cultural space. Where are we, if you could just repeat it or just point out to it on the cultural space that was promised back from the original POA?
I can't remember the slide anymore. It's, I don't.
Oh, no, you're, it's just, I'm showing the wrong thing.
There we go, okay. So, this table here shows the cultural space that's been delivered. And apologies that it's small, but to be clear, 20,000 square feet of cultural space has been delivered on the MEC campus. And this slide here represents everything that's delivered and in progress, everything that's shaded. Speaking, again, we are very early in the process for the A blocks, but working closely with our SBA colleagues and understanding the really specific spatial constraints of schools, that the majority of the ground floor for that A East parcel that will have the schools is intended to go towards the schools. It helps reduce the number of floors, and so it limits the additional square footage that's available for other uses. But again, as you said, we're early in this process. We're early in our analysis of what it'll look like. So as of right now, there is 20,000 square feet of cultural space that's on this campus. And the A block parcels are, the pieces that are continuing. And again, A West will speak more about their plans for the development and ground floor, but speaking for A East, the schools are really the primary use of the ground floor space.
Forgive me if I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So 20,000 square feet of cultural space is active today?
It'll be active once East Center also. So when East Center is completed, it'll be delivering 15,000 square feet of cultural.
Okay, so we have 5 so far, another 15,000, and then another 10 after that. Okay, so it's 30.
So it's, again, that the 30 was the total committed. Again, when East Center brings that 15, there'll be a total of 20 on this.
More?
Go ahead, I might interrupt you.
Okay. Beverly?
Yeah, in regards to the site where the Proton Center is at. You're saying that the church is going to be part of that site?
The church is gonna be part of the A West development in that block, and again, there will be a presentation after this that gets into far more details about that.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna, that's why I'm trying to move that along.
Another.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to, we got more and after that. I guess this is, I sent you a lot of questions. I don't think this presentation answers all of them. I know we're not being asked to do anything. Let them worry about the details, but I think we were told at the beginning of this that you guys wanted to hear our thoughts and how we felt. My question is, if we're to come back in September, we sit together and we have suggestions and they don't exactly go with what you guys are planning, but they could reasonably be done. I mean, is that really gonna even be considered? Because my hesitance in all of this is, it doesn't seem like it will be. It hasn't ever really seemed like that recently with the projects going on. So are we wasting our time doing this exercise? To ask that we're gonna have feedback that's gonna go nowhere? Or am I gonna really motivate this group to give feedback that would be strongly considered and potentially implemented if it was thoughtful and could work? Yeah, you can.
For the AE site, just to acknowledge again, that this does require land use action, which this board has a role in that process. In order to get for this site to actually be approved, so I don't ever wanna underscore or, don't ever wanna, minimize, the role of the community board and the feedback that you all have provided and will provide in the future. That we need to get to an approved site at the end of the day, right? And so if this group here has strong opinions and feedback, then that will certainly be incorporated to ensure that we're getting to an approved site that this community supports. So one, if there are any questions, please send them to me, you know, but I will respond. And I'm always eager to understand how we can engage in what are the preliminary thoughts that are being had, so we can actually analyze together what is possible and what isn't possible, because otherwise we don't.
I said within what's possible. It just might not be exactly what's being proposed. So I hear you.
No,
We're
yeah,
not gonna
but
throw some crazy
whatever
stuff
is-
in.
Whatever is possible, we'll
Okay.
take a look at. I can get you.
Okay. Go ahead, Angel.
So the note on the bottom about the requiring Europe, that's including the adjustments of the urban renewal plan?
Correct. Yeah, the urban renewal plan placed really strict height restrictions, and again, we're refining analysis, trying to understand sort of the building envelope and how to maximize what we're delivering schools and housing and A West, the proposal for A West, and so we're also analyzing increased density and upzoning as a part of that.
So we're looking at quite a building there for that. The central, right? It's gonna be a pretty tall building, 700 units. Oh, so I'm looking at the wrong.
Yeah,
So the center's gonna be how many?
so the one in the middle is Kirschland Center, and that's.
No.
Oh, the center.
Sorry.
That's gonna be about 500 units, but it's 420 units of affordable rental, but then 79 of affordable.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry, my fault.
The center is headed that we're working to close on financing for, and that'll include 120 units of general affordable housing, and 79 units of affordable commercial.
How big?
Total units of 500.
No, how tall?
Tall, I can get this one.
Okay, and then, I know we're gonna get to the next one, but 400 units in that parcel there, that suggests a tall building.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe I can hold them to you guys. Start to-
Picture that too.
But, yeah, so it's 7-3. Yeah, maybe.
It's an hour before, but the other is,
4 times the size.
Longer.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Right, Angel, can you set us up?
Whoa, no, hold on a second. Yeah, that's not, okay. Just last comments on this. Just the map where you show all the projects you guys have going on your EDC. I've asked for, it's scattered and it's confusing, I think. What's going on, where things stand, what commitments were made, how are they changed? One that's really been a problem, and I met with Civitas and the Manhattan Borough President's Office, is the Greenway. We don't have funding for half a mile. Where we do have funding, nothing's happening. It is like atrocious, the inequity of how that's been allowed to happen. And I don't know, we don't get any answers. We talk to parks, they don't tell us where the funding for those 10 blocks is. The work keeps getting pushed back. I don't want to bring up, but that needs to start coming here too. Okay, because that's a major issue. And I don't need you guys, I don't put you on the spot. I just want you to know that we need that to move.
Acknowledged and happy to come in the fall.
Okay,
Next question.
yeah, go ahead. One question and then we're gonna go to the president. And
This
sorry,
project that was funded
And then
by
Angel.
former 70%, $10 million or so.
where Robert, way back? Yeah, that's the one. All right, Angel, go ahead.
I think that money paid for lunch.
Well, you remember what happens to 10 million over time? It becomes 1 million.
It's fine. It's fine. Fuck, my question's already done. Oh, yeah. So it's a lot of units, right? And I know there's, It's very appealing to promote, addressing, the housing crisis, the affordability crisis, and yes. But what we've been seeing over and over and over again, Joey, is studios and one bedrooms.
Right.
So here's my feedback. Don't come to us with studios and one bedrooms. And don't talk to us about your reports saying, your feedback and your applications for Connect are, it's because that's what's being offered, that's what you're getting applications for. This, like, whomever's, kind of thinking through this stuff, we have to have family size units and not just, like, we did a suggestion to a project a couple of years ago and they were offering 15 and we ended up getting 18. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking a nice chunk of family size units for this district. What is this? Where we're at 1,500 units, something crazy number? I'm terrible at math, but a lot. And if most of that is studios and one bedrooms, that would be a real crime shame. That cannot be the case with this. That's the last thing I have to say.
All right,
For now.
I like you talkative. All right, we're gonna wrap that up and now we will move to the 200 East 127th Street presentation.
He's passing on hard copies.
Yeah, I think we have 10, so
Thank you.
it might be one short. And over here to project.
Share my list.
I miss presentations like this.
All right, good evening, folks. I brought notes, so we're gonna make this as efficient as possible. Some of these slides are actually duplicative from what you've already seen from the EDC presentation. Very briefly, my name is Jack Keeney. I'm with Walton Properties. I'm actually a resident of CB11. I live on 96th Street, so listening in on this conversation about schools wasn't nothing for me. Before we get into the specifics of our project, I'd like to introduce the rest of our development team. I'm gonna start off with my partner John here from Slate Property Group.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Galaveras. I work for a company called Slate Property Group. I run their affordable housing division, so anything I do is only for affordable housing and land use type action within New York City. Warren, I'm managing partner of Moses Soul, and also I'm the chairman of Weapons of Real Estate on 147 Ave, Clayton Bow. I just want to say I was born in Harlem Hospital, I was doing the Johnson project, and I'm glad to be doing the project.
Project Andy. Johnson first.
So check your credentials.
Yeah, the records.
Andrew Aldo, I'm with Slate Property Group on John's team. Nice to meet you all. And to round out our team, we have Audrey here representing that great church. She actually wants to say a few words about those who are not familiar, just about the church's history and program.
Hi, I'm Audrey Walker. I'm a member of the United Moravian Church and a member of the Property Development Committee that has been working with project managers, legal counsels, developers, brokers to get the project to this point. In the interest of time, I'm just not going to say everything I have written here. We've been here for a minute. But I just want to thank you all for the opportunity for me to represent my congregation and to speak about the development of our property. And our church has stood there since 1968. So we've been there a while. We got to that location by eminent domain because we were at Lexington 126. But our church has a presence in New York City for over 120 years. So we've been in Harlem and we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. As we consider the expansion and rebuilding of our existing footprint, we do so with a clear purpose. It is to strengthen our ability to serve the community and meet the evolving needs of our members and community. This project is not simply about constructing a new building. It's about enhancing our capacity to fulfill our mission of service. The church's mission is one of service community. Our church believes that we go beyond the walls of the church, and we're committed to go into the community and meet the community where they're at and to treat them with some dignity and care. Currently, our outreach program feeds the unhoused and vulnerable members of our community with 120 meals per month. And with this expansion, we'll be able to get a larger kitchen, more space, and we'll be able to provide better services. For the youth of our community, we have a vacation Bible school and youth programs, and we want to continue to offer nurturing environment for kids to grow and build positive relationships. We have music programs, which include steel pan orchestra, talking about culture. There's a Caribbean side also here, a bell choir for young people. And we also have a praise dance ministry there. And in terms of youth, for years, the church did house a Head Start school way back in the days for many years. We believe in, we understand the health disparities that are within our community, and we have a health team that take high blood pressure, make health assessment, and this also gives us an opportunity to expand that. And this new building, we envision to have a basketball court. We know our kids sometimes are on the streets, and we want them to be in a safe, secure environment. And we hope to bring the kids in and the young adults off the streets into our building for some love and care. For decades, our congregation has been delegated in strengthening the New York City community and the Harlem community through faith, service, and partnership. We view this redevelopment as an investment not in our church, not only in our church, but in our neighborhood that we have stood proudly for several generations. We respectfully ask your support as we move forward with the vision of continued community service, outreach, and stewardships of our resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, for the purpose of this project, we have three core goals. One is to deliver 100% affordable housing, approximately 400 units, through HPD's new construction finance program. I'll touch on what that actually means in a couple next slides. Number two, preserve a community anchor, right? United Moravian Church has been here for over 40 years. They have outgrown the current facility, does not serve their needs anymore. So this project will provide them with a new 15,000 square foot, energy efficient space that's designed to their needs and hopefully keep the program floating for the next several generations, right? So that's definitely one of their core goals. And three, touching on what you just said, this project will help them sustain and grow the existing programs they have. Already discussed site and location, but very quickly. So this is NEC West, A West. So the two sites we're talking about combining in the project are United Moravian's home, which is currently at 127 3rd Avenue, as well as the city site at 126th and 3rd Avenue. Combining those two lots together, you achieve about 20,000 square feet. So it's a classic Manhattan grid block of 200 by 100. So the proposed development, we already mentioned approximately 400 units, but that translates into about 350,000 gross square feet. We are envisioning about 10,000 square feet of ground floor retail and commercial, but honestly, community facility or community facility. But honestly, hearing some of the feedback for tonight's meeting, our team's going to go back and reassess that, right? Because we're not introducing a bunch of vacant storefronts when maybe that's a better use for your United Moravian Church, right? Angela, you're asking about height. So this massing here, and also an architect, by the way, this architect here, or this massing here, this is conceptual. It's approximately 24 stories. This is about the massing we need to fit 400 units or so. But what we're trying to do here is push as much of that height and massing to the north side of the street, so we can open up this setback here, make this a nice community terrace, right? The other interesting thing about this site that we get excited about as architects as well is we're building next to a much lower building that's going to be lower for the foreseeable future, right? So that introduces very interesting design and light opportunities that we don't ordinarily have for doing New York City projects. So part of the reason it looks like this is we're trying to get sunlight during the day hitting that terrace, and then in the morning you're also getting sunlight coming into the courtyard where you can be playing basketball in that Moravian Church. You're just trying to maximize as much natural light as possible. So that's right now driving why that looks, but again, it's still early stage conceptual. We are in the intertransit zone. This is a 100% affordable project, so there is no residential parking required. Okay, so I've said affordable housing like 6 times already. What does it actually mean? So this project is going to be built under the new construction finance program. That means we're going to have a range of the AMI going from 30 up to 80%. So what does that mean? So at 30% of AMI, we're targeting senior citizens on fixed income with Social Security income only, and say health aides, right? At 50 or 60% of AMI, we're targeting CNAs, paraprofessionals, and childcare workers. And at 80% of AMI, we're targeting city employees, right? So firemen, cops, EMTs, I think the single salary cap or income right now is like 95,000. If it's family of 2, it's 123 rather, it's 120,000. So that's who that's going to be targeted. So EDC touched on this at length, but we will have to go through a ULIP action. We don't exactly know yet what the future zoning designation is going to be. But we have to do these 4 things, right? So we have to amend the existing zoning map. We have to do this disposition of city-owned land to our team, that includes United Moravian Church. We have to amend the existing urban renewal plan, and we have to do an urban development action area program amendment. And in terms of number 2, this is being done through a sole source disposition through HPD, which is DASA for short. So why are we combining the lots and upzoning? I mean, it seems obvious, but obviously it just makes more efficiency, right? These projects don't work as well if they stand alone. This corner building here, that try to be a standalone building, and I know because we laid it out, you end up with what we call a single loaded corridor. Very, very inefficient. You're trying to maximize housing. By combining the 2 of them, the other advantage we're doing is we're just spreading the cost around, right? United Moravian Church has to get fairly compensated for their land. That's part of the transaction. But by combining it with this other public site, we're able to lower that base per unit, right? So we can deliver a lot more affordability than if these projects were built separately. And then the third piece, obviously the community benefit. By making this project happen, we can expand United Moravian's space, build upon a community program we started. Again, we would have said anchoring that corner with community facility or retail space. That's something we're gonna, like, after this evening, we're gonna reassess, right? So what the project delivers: new church facility, local access to housing. So one thing I didn't mention in the affordable housing slide is that there is a 15% community preference for community board 11 residents. MWB participation. So beyond contribution of our partners, there'll also be local hiring MWB job skills, right? Which is typically required for all HPD projects, right? And then again, retail community facility. That seems like it's more of a liability than asset right now, but that's before we have this conversation with y'all, that's what we're thinking, right? Because we're builders and developers, we're like, because we want to activate the corner, right? But that's sort of the feedback we're getting from the real world. Having a vacant storefront is not a good way to do that. So we might reassess and look at other options for that corner. So EDC touched on this at length. They get a development timeline. So this is it, right? You're the first public presentation we've made for our project. And we've already started, pre-development and design effort. We're now part of this larger zoning action with the other sites. But big picture, whenever that gets completed, we'll be ready to close as soon as possible. Building of this size typically takes 24 to 30 months to build, and this number of units will probably take us 10 to 12 months to lease up 3 HPD housing units. So that's like the big picture schedule. And with that, welcome your questions, and I also appreciate everyone's time. I know it's late, you don't have to be here, so.
Go ahead, Nilsa.
Thank you for your presentation. I see that it's 15% community preference. Now, there was a court case that was settled in 2024 that brought community preference for some people from 50% down to 20%. And then there's a change that was due to change in 2029. You're already putting in 15% for CB11 as opposed to 20%, which is what's currently expected now. So I'm just wondering, especially if the project takes several years, hopefully you'll be built by or close to 2029. So I'm just wondering why the 15%, because we're losing 20 units based on that calculation. Because if we do 15% of 400 units, that's 60. If we do 20%, which is currently right now, of 400 units, that's 80 units. And so I'm just wondering why prematurely bringing it down to the 15% CD percentage. And also, in terms of the funding, you just mentioned Light Tech. What other funding, if you change the retail on the ground floor to whatever it gets envisioned to be, how will that affect your funding for this project?
So starting with the first point, candidly, the development team is agnostic on community preference, right? So I don't want to take it over to HPD, but there may be regulatory issues that we have to.
So, thank you for your question. So I know we showed the timeline earlier and we're anticipating entering either in 2027, but the lengthy process, and you're correct that the preference has changed between 24 and 2029. So any units in Housing Connect after April 2029 would be at 15%.
Right, but here in this presentation, you're specifically saying that it's 15%. So you're prematurely.
Won't be on Housing Connect by that time.
Yeah,
So
so-
it's not when we start building, it's when they go on Housing Connect, and we definitely, without a doubt, will not be on Housing Connect by 2029.
But I wanna be really clear also, we get this question a lot. That's not a capital fund who can apply from the community board. We work with developers all the time, we do Housing Connect workshops to make sure that folks know about the lotteries and how to apply. And I think this development team would be open to that as well. But
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking is because I do Housing Connect for this community. So I know how Housing Connect works, and I know all the applications that hit this community. And I see how everyone is welcome in this community, but increasingly residents in this community feel they're being displaced. And so that when we see a presentation that's way before showing 15%, like I can see if you said 20% and then had an asterisk that if by the start or the end of what is it, top off, whatever it is, that this may go down because you're hitting a time that hits. But this, when I see this is like it's already capped.
Yeah.
Whether it is or
That
not.
wasn't the intent. We try to under promise and over deliver. That's not, that wasn't the intent. I respect what you said, but I'm just saying, 100% that wasn't the intent.
And we will do whatever we can to help this community stack the deck so that you guys can get as many people in as possible by applying. The more people that apply.
Believe me, you get thousands of applying.
Yeah, but the more this community
applies that we can. We've gone through plenty of lotteries where the community board hasn't taken advantage of their preference, and we can beat that by getting people from this community to apply.
Yeah, part of this is getting the word out. We're working with the community board.
And I just want to say, I've done this included. I think what you're talking about, we have to let people know what's coming and prepare them. What are the type of questions? What are the things you need to look? Because that's part of it. After the fact, they say, oh, but if you have sessions to say, these are the things that's needed, have your stuff ready, be ready.
Oh, no, that's part of it, but when you do the application in New York City Housing Connect, when you put in the information, there are questions depending on where you live and everything like that. So if the community does not do good outreach, the application process should certainly capture where they're coming from.
Right.
Andy?
But there was a second part to your question. So if we don't end up doing retail, so we are using Light Tech. That's like the primary funding vehicle for almost all these projects. You can't use Light Tech on retail, right? So the net result is if we don't end up having retail, there's like a change in cash flow. The gap is usually filled by HPD subsidy.
You do ICAP.
If we build it, we always do ICAP to get the tax payment. But if we don't end up, I think the question was what happened, like, is the project doomed if we don't do commercial space? No, because it's such a small percentage relative to the overall project. 350,000 gross square feet roughly, only 10,000 square feet. Again, that was more of like a urban design thinking. It was like, we really want to activate that corner somehow. But maybe it doesn't have to be retail. Maybe it doesn't have to be community facility. Maybe it's an extension of Meridian space, right? There are other ways to activate that corner. It also doesn't generate financial risk. I will say it's kind of this probably sounds counterintuitive. We as the developer, affordable housing developer, we are not incentivized to charge high retail or commercial rents because we have to guarantee those rents, right? So we set the rent to whatever, and frankly, whatever HPD allows us to do relative to them. We'd much rather do much lower rent because there's less financial risk for us, right? So.
Andy?
So, you have the Moravian Church. Now, I know that HPD has a regulatory agreement that you can't, if partners or anybody related and not apply for the lottery, do you still have that, happening? Because then how are there, if the members of the church wants to apply, right? And they're on that,
They can apply because they're not partners.
they're not being restricted, not even anyone that's
No.
affiliated.
I can
with the
apply, these
church
guys can apply, anybody in Orange
in the
County
Moravian?
can apply.
And are you setting any apartment aside for them? Because they are giving up some of their own.
They're getting compensated, yeah, you get something.
Yeah, no, I mean, so they're getting compensated for the land based on the market appraisal of the land, right? They're having discussions, what's that?
They're getting the financial compensation and a new space.
And a new space, right? And there have been early discussions about potentially setting aside 1 or 2 apartments. I will say that it's very difficult to do in these tax regulated. If we're doing a market rental, it'd be a much easier ask, right? Because they can just buy a unit in the building. But we actually haven't broached this with HPD yet. And I know this comes up a lot. I'm working with 3 other houses of worship in the city, and everybody obviously wants to have an apartment on site. So we'd be open to do it, but again, I'm not sure it's possible.
All right, Derek and Beverly, and then I'm gonna ask some things.
So obviously, this is really early in the process to bring this up, but we, you keep seeing these stories about the lottery apartments, and then they go vacant for a very long time after the first tenant leaves. So just putting that out there, like thinking about what the plan will be to make sure those units get filled. That's something we talk a lot about in our district, just that there are units that are just for a variety of reasons not being filled. So something to file away for a long time from now, but maybe thinking about early, connected to the outreach in the community, to just have that plan for how you're gonna fill units. It's great to have affordable, but it only works if they're filled with something.
Yeah, HPD and the city actually come up with a great way of fixing that.
Right, yeah.
The new administration has said, we're not putting them back on Housing Connect, it's allowing developers to go out to the market, to the community and lease them directly. So that problem, we will fill them much faster than Housing Connect. I promise you.
I'd love to hear
So
it.
it's a great change by this new
It's
administration.
been basically, every developer, yes, community been going crazy. So New York City Housing Connect, I'm sure you know, is gonna be revamped, and then after the fact, they open it up to the. So those are the 2 things that are happening right
Yeah,
now.
so hopefully by the time,
Yeah.
we're finished and we're actually in house connected, there's gonna be some serious reforms. And certainly, I hope CB11 weighs in on it.
Well, you have to.
All right, Beverly.
Okay, thanks for the presentation, because I was kind of confused when I heard about this project, especially with the address of 20 East, 27th Street, because I knew it was the church. And then I seen that y'all was Qualcomm was asking for site, control of the city-owned property. So now that I know that y'all working together in order to do that, do you have site control over the whole project after that? Because you're asking us to grant site control for the city-owned property that's on 126th Street, but if you combining them, where did that leave you?
So one of the things about that is that, we get designated as a developer, we actually don't own the property until we close. And that's to prevent, I think what you're alluding to, which is like people getting control and not doing anything with them. So, we're gonna enter into 2 contractual agreements. One, we already have an agreement with the United Moravian Church to develop their site, and they're getting, a certain amount of consideration for that. And then the other development agreement we're going into with HPD. So it means that we're designated and we have the legal right to continue doing activities related to the project. We do not own that property until we close with all of our financing in place and start construction.
But you would have that right as long as you get, control.
Yes, but HPD can also pull that right if we're being.
Right, because I was wondering if it's another, mission-based program wanted to, get on a deal with, or look into the deal, would they be excluded because you have, site control now?
They would be excluded as long as we have this contractual agreement in place with HPD. HPD has the right to revoke that if we're bad actors. You may know that the history of this site, this actually was awarded to a previous developer team that was gonna build a hotel. Part of why we're here tonight is I made the argument to the city, we made the argument to the city that we didn't think that was the highest and best use. And, you can see it was part of EDC's grand vision. So that developer actually got designated, and we're now the new team taking the place because our focus and our program is totally different.
All right, Rosa?
Yes, thank you.
I noticed, I actually looked it up. I noticed, the address and the city council is District 9, which is Dr. Joseph Salon. Because, Councilmember Encarnacion's mark goes up to 132nd only. And then I wanted to know you mentioned the hot food operations. Can you let me know the days and time? Because I go to the food bazaar like every other day and I don't see the church home. So that must be just me. Could you repeat that question? So you mentioned that you guys do hot food and activities in the church and everything. 1 second, please. And I wanted to know what are the hours of operation? Because I shop a food bazaar like literally every 2 days or so. And I don't see the church open, not even on Saturdays and Sundays. So I just wondering what are the hours of operation? Only Sunday.
We do the community feeding on Sundays.
The time?
It's after worship, so it's about from 1 to 3 thereabouts.
Worship is at what time?
Worship starts at 11, 11 to 12:30, 1 o'clock.
All right, Candy, and then I'm gonna wrap it up.
So, I'm piggybacking off of, what she's requesting about the site control. Once, HPD transfers the land over, who's gonna hold the deed?
So the
Under
deed is
whose name that deed is gonna be under?
The deed is held actually by a totally separate entity that's not in this room, called the Housing Development Fund Corporation, which is a prerequisite.
No. The name of the person, whether it's the organization or the business.
Sure. So the land, the title will be
The
held by
land under
HJC.
the name that says deed, so and so.
Then we have what's called a nominee agreement with HDFC.
I understand all of that.
It's these people sitting here. So, it's my firm, it's like Property Group, it's Bernard Warren, Moses Soul. And, what's happening with United Radiant is that we're building them a new space and then we're deeding that to them at the completion of the project, which is their space, and it's part of their consideration for the land.
That's.
All right.
So they're gonna have their own.
A separate deed?
They're gonna have their own.
Will not own the church. Right?
Yeah, we don't own the
I
church.
think that's what's going. Yeah, we're gonna redevelop it, and they're gonna own it themselves. That the church own their space, and then our development group. And he said, now first, the actual title is for these tax credit deals, you have to do a HDFC. So that's what we're talking about. But then the nominee agreement will be with the development team.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, it's not about that, the nominating. I understand all that light technology.
Candy, let's just
What
get
I'm
to the
just
point
saying
here.
is I am.
I know, but I said,
Come on, Adam, please, so you're giving me
Yeah, I
a
just
chance.
why
Why you
I just
haven't
want
spoken
crystal
before tonight?
clear,
Okay, go
but
ahead.
crystal clear, who's gonna own the land, the deed? Like, when HPD says, and they hand it over to you, because I'm aware how that works.
So there-
Who's gonna
there's
be
gonna be two
responsible for that site after it's completed, everything's said and done, lottery's done, full house lease done?
There'll be two owners. The first one, which is the largest, that's all the residential, that's R3 joint, that's our joint venture partnership. The other owner is gonna be United Arabian Church, because they're gonna own their own space. It's a commercial condo, which I think you mentioned ICAP. So
Yeah, so
about that.
when you said commercial
So-
condo, then that would be done,
I
but
think
in
that, yes, so I don't, so because they're nonprofit status,
So
I'm
they'll
not
be tax
entirely sure if it's
exempt.
needed, but ICAP we do on every commercial or community facility
Right,
space.
any commercial space that's like that, I understand.
Just want to be really clear about tonight's meeting, the letter of support is not, we're not disclosing plans for years from now, and I just want to make sure that that's very clear, that this is just a letter of support to really start the process, and then this has to go through the where there's going to be many more public comments.
So that gets to the last point. When do you need this letter?
I think we were hoping to get it at the July 16th meeting. You all have to vote on that event. Let us know, but if we don't.
Let me ask you a question. If it was September, would you wait? Yeah. Well, and what if the letter was conditional within reason? There's some things here that we might want. You know, there's the AMI bans, the unit mix. I don't believe there's clarity in those. Is there an ability for there to be some discussion if we threw something out there where you could be like, that could be feasible, where that would have kind of accompanied the letter, just as an idea? Okay. I just, the only reason is I don't know if we'll have a full board meeting till September. So I do appreciate you giving us that time, because I do think as a committee, we'll discuss this in July. And then we could do something hopefully in September. All right, okay, Derek.
So can you clarify what the letter of support is at this stage?
Says disposal site.
For your support in having this in mind. So having the credit lot and church, or sorry, the public lot and the church lot together, it's part of our process and just like beginning.
So it would be two HPV say we support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've done this, yeah, it's not been a while. All right,
I was thinking that's a green light for our team. Starting investing.
okay. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Wish you guys
Thank
good
you.
things.
We'll be in touch. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. All right. We are almost at the finish line.
That's been a minute, but I remember.
Thanks for setting this up. Take care. All pleasure to meet you. Appreciate your
No, I
questions.
got it. All right.
Thank you all for, there's a very thoughtful. You did.
All right, we got,
And
you guys.
we'll talk. It's not the first time we're gonna be here.
Thank you.
We'll talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Like I said, it's not the first time I'll be here, so happy to talk shop another night. So thanks all. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, let's move on. Thank you. All right, we're gonna, the presentation, I'm just gonna let you know, F is gonna move to July. So we're just gonna do E real, sorry, we moved where's all right, D, we're on D. Derek, you were at the meeting, I believe Beverly, land use discussed these, brownfield tax credits for 1800 Park Avenue. There were two bills, remember, we discussed them from our state senator, I believe, Port Clear and Assembly Member Gibbs. Essentially granting an extension for the developer to claim these tax credits on this property at 1800 Park Avenue. The developer, as far as we are aware, filed plans to build about 680 units on this site, and get a 485X abatement, right? So generally speaking, a building over 100 units to get a 485X abatement requires 25% of the units to be affordable and prevailing wages, I think, no less than $40 an hour on a job. However, there's a loophole. If you build it 99 units or under per building, you go to 20% affordability and there is no prevailing wages. So this developer that asks for these tax credits, his plan is to build 6 buildings, build the units and have them all under 99. So, right. I know, I'm laughing. I'm not really. Well, yeah, so, I spoke to, our state senator on the phone. They reached out to board. They actually did not reach out to me. They reached out, that was interesting in itself, but I hear nor there, no, Cordell Clear and, well, Gibbs reached out, but I don't really know what, I don't know, but, the point being here is I expressed this. I said, they're trying to circumvent, go through a loophole, which they're allowed to do to get, to give as little affordability as possible and not do prevailing wages, right? I said, but on the other hand, they are asking you for something, so this might be a point of leverage. Say, if you want these tax credits, then don't build it this way. And so I'd ask them, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna propose any legislation, then do it this way, right? Also, I believe this can be done as of right. So the idea that they're giving affordable units is because they're getting an abatement. That must mean that abatement is worth the, giving up of affordability, so it's not like necessarily we are chasing affordability away. Granted, this site has sat empty for a long time. So we were gonna discuss those two bills tonight. However, apparently, those bills got kind of rendered moot, and this bill already passed, by the way, now, this new bill, which is, you have it printed, I believe, Angel, if I'm going wrong on any of this, you tell me. This is Bill 11561. Now, I have my own thoughts on why this was done this way, but I'll leave this to you guys to decide. This tax credit thing that was a standalone bill now got kind of thrown into a bill that talks about other things and kind of gets buried in a bill, right? So it's the same thing, just with other stuff. And they, okay, sorry. Yeah, All right, so my point is, we made it clear that there were issues with this bill, and then it got done and thrown into something with other stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not saying that's why it happened, but it almost seems like it pushed it through easier, and it wasn't as obvious what was happening, that there was an extension for tax credits. When, I was told by at least one elected that they wanted to do what was best for this community, and I said, then use the leverage here to at least put in the bill that we will give you the extension if you commit to the maximum affordability and prevailing wages to build this site and not go through a loophole to do as little as possible. My understanding is that as it was put in this bill that was voted on, that did not happen. It is essentially the same thing that was done. Now, I'll let Derek go and then I'll kind of end it on what I think and we'll hear what everyone else thinks too.
So 2 questions for you, Dan. 1, do you know if it was signed by the governor?
I believe it was.
And then 2, at land use, we talked about trying to get the developer in to talk about this. Was there any success with that?
Yeah, because, no, and the reason there may not be is, I don't think it was a sense of urgency because I was told, no, let this go to land use in September. Right? So, I was told and I said, okay, I'm gonna respect lanes, but that's why we're only talking about our electeds here. Now, this is already been signed by the governor, but I would like this board to take a position that this was not done properly in terms of our electeds did not ask what they should have asked for. And we are against this as it was done. I think I would personally like to be on the record stating that for what it's worth. Because then maybe they'll think twice next time they do something to take consideration or have that discussion. So that's why I put it on here, even though the ship has sailed. I still think it's important for us, if we believe that, to be on the record with it and potentially have that influence future decisions, okay? So I'm gonna take some questions and we could see if maybe there's a motion for some type of letter to be issued, which I'd be happy to write and have you guys check. Beverly.
Question, so the bills that we have for D is mute.
Yep.
So the developer, as it stands now for that site, can
Yep.
do the 99 units.
Well, they could always do it. They can always do it, but now they got these tax credits and our electeds did not ask for them to anything in return, essentially. Knowing fully well that they were filed plans to give us, to do it in a way that would give us little possible, which they're allowed to do and they could have done anyway. But what I'm saying, our electeds had the opportunity to at least say to them, if you want this, then do it this way. And they did not do that. And they said that they spoke to them, at least one elected officer said, well, we told them we want the most. And I'm like, you had a conversation, get anything in writing. If that's the case, then don't sign a bill. Tell them, yeah, okay, we'll see what you know. So, that's not how you do things, in my opinion.
I remember, Keith Wright, is that the one that came here back in last year regarding the hospital, the foot photography, to, ask that lot be joined together with the 1800 lot.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
there was like an old,
Right.
big covenant type thing back from like the 70s that should have been dealt with when the property was sold, like the type of form, I believe. So,
Right.
like, definitely connected. It's what let, the previous owner. Durst, it's what let them sell it because the buyers wanted everything to be cleaned up before they did it.
So they will be able to tear down that.
No, it was like a thing to do with like the back lot and
Right.
and so like the podiatry college, they were able to, because they're a nonprofit, they were able to like they didn't have any financial hardship. It's not really, it's just what allowed the sale to have gone through cleanly.
But the whole lot.
The lots had already been combined, like that was already a
It's
thing.
already been done.
I mean, I think there would be other opportunities to discuss that. I think what I'm asking this evening is, are we willing to entertain a motion to write a letter in opposition of this bill, specifically and only about the part regarding these tax credits? Okay, then, is there a motion? No, Derek, do you have a question?
I just, one other thing I wanted, I just, about the letter.
After you'll
it's
make
just
the
like,
motion.
for myself, like, I walk by this all the time, like, I know it's been vacant since long before I lived in the neighborhood. I guess the part that I didn't know was that it was a brownfield designation. Again, that's just my own ignorance. I didn't know
Nobody
that.
mentioned that. It was
So
Guys, please.
right, so like, I think that I would like, for me, I feel like the letter should acknowledge like the importance of cleaning up that site, whatever needs to be done, and putting something there and admonishing them for like, but you got nothing in return. Like,
Okay.
it's not our fault that the developers didn't take advantage of it during the time frame that was originally allocated. Like, so why are these new people getting it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I would like it, for me, if that's part of it, is just communicating like, this was a good thing that should have happened using these tax credits, right, to clean this thing up and get something built there that's been vacant for forever.
Okay.
But that, yes, we should have gotten,
They're
we should
covering
have
up
gotten
that
something
lot
for it.
as it is today.
What?
They're covering up that lot today.
What do you mean today?
Work on it.
Yeah, there's gravel, I mean, tons and tons of gravel that's being pushed into that lot.
We can, but here's again my point, like, we gotta, I hear you, but we can all discuss all that. I wanna let that go back to land use. And I just want us to consider that letter. I don't think there's any issues with what you said. You can maybe help me with
Yeah, sure.
putting that part in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Jose and then Asher. Jewel, do you have a question? Okay, so Jose, then Jewel, and then Asher. We can make the motion, hopefully. Go ahead, Jose.
This motion, just so you understand, because this has been signed already, so
Right.
for most things, it's done.
It's a done deal. We
It's
got
to
this.
show our like displeasure or disdain or our, all these words that fall into it, like it's, if I'm trying not to use bad words, but, you know, we have to hold our electeds also accountable. We have a neighborhood plan, we want these things to be in creation, we want this person to receive their tax credits, but they should do it in a way that's that's correct. So this doesn't stop, like, so I'm not really sure, like, all of that is really necessary. I just want to point it out, just because this is more of a point for us. It's not gonna stop anything. This is done deal. It's really just to hold these people accountable so that it doesn't happen again in the future, or that at least that they can really, like, considering that our chair, yes, our chair brought this to their attention even prior to them doing this. And yet they just still went ahead and did it and put no conditions and no made, you know, like, we have to hold everyone accountable.
I think
their justification could be.
I know what you're saying.
This thing needed to be cleaned up, and so we needed to give them the extension so that it would happen. And I think I'm saying, if you acknowledge that fact that it needs to be cleaned up and said, but it's not true that they still should have gotten it for nothing. Right, just because it's a good thing to do, doesn't mean you give it away.
I have no problem with adding that.
That's
I hear
my
both your sides, but I don't think it hurts to put it in so we can do that.
What's the nothing that's given away? Like, is it giving it away or giving the support without a commitment?
Right.
To not circumvent.
Yes.
485X.
Yes.
Like that. To
Yes. That's it. It's essentially, if you wanted to give them this, you should have told them, don't circumvent, do it the way you could give the 25% in the prevailing wages. Instead, you want to do it the way you give 20% in no prevailing wages. That's the ask we told them to make if you're gonna give them this in return. Jewel, point of clarity.
Just in terms of like, we're opposing the bill itself, or we're opposing like the process by which they did it?
No, the bill.
Okay, so like, rather than like make words to the effect that you're disregarding.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Community Board of
Yeah.
London and our input and all of that.
We have to, that's part of the, Yep. What we'll do then?
But the bill
No,
already passed and she signed off on it.
No, I understand, Candy, but I believe this has been said.
No, sir, no, I
Yeah.
understand that.
I know, it's
Both
disappointing.
the states
Yes.
of elected officials should have come to us and talked to us.
Well, they
and give us
did, and then they just
input
disregarded
and
it, and they didn't come the way they should have. Asher, you wanna make a motion?
Motion to write a letter, yes. Motion to write a letter in opposition to Bill. Assembly Bill 11561, and to add that, specifically about the tax credit.
At 1800 Park Avenue.
At 1800
And they
Park
circled
Avenue.
it.
Was
Well,
that,
that letter, all that's noted.
Angel, do you need for me to restate that?
I'm not writing it down.
Okay.
Kyle got it.
I will restate it though, because that's apparently.
I'm gonna give it a second.
No, but should I restate the motion? Seconded by Jose.
I second.
Too bad, he said
All
Jose,
right,
it's on now.
Right, so, I know, we all know what the language is, all right, then, all in favor? Xavier, you wanna vote?
I, sorry, tried to click the button and it would unmute.
No problem. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any present not voting? Motion passes. Okay, as I said, F will be moved to July 16th. We will put that first on the agenda that evening. Just, for yeah.
Just say something about that.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanna say, Joe Lazarus and, also his team and John Rodriguez have been very, very responsive about our requests in the schools, and I just wanted to make that note. Before they come next month, they have been amazing, they found the funding for back to 72, they're working on 146 from what I understand. So I think just use them as an asset and not necessarily, they're willing to work with us, and what a lot of people don't realize is school facilities can do a lot more than school construction authority can. They could do stuff a lot quicker, so, yeah. Like what I was told is to take a school construction authority as the like structural of the building as a whole, building new buildings, and facilities handles everything else, so.
Okay, thank you. And we will definitely dive into that in July. Thank you, Asher. And then for 7, I just told by our district needs chair, supplemental questions for the budget consultations. If the chairs have any, please send them over to Sage. And Angel, go ahead.
Yeah, on that point, Sage, went and extended invitations to a whole bunch of agencies to try to schedule district consultations and submitted questions, I imagine, with your participation, maybe not. So we're gonna try to schedule these in July. I will say this for myself, if we don't have cooperation and participation from the committee chairs, we're not gonna hold the consultations, right? So if there's, 5 committees that apply to your committee and you're not engaged, then there's no point really in Sage and I meeting with the help of, whatever department and having a really great meeting, and then it's just gonna fall on deaf ears. So we won't schedule them. So that's my way of saying, of encouraging you with a hammer to engage with that process. If not, then we won't.
So then this is the task. I expect each of you, committee chairs, what is it today? What's today, Thursday? Angel, what would be a fair timeline for them to send,
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes.
You have till Monday at 5 p.m. And it will be noted, I'm just gonna put this forward. We're gonna start evaluating members as we go in, members, chairs, the board oversight. When requests are made of committee chairs and their vice chairs and they are not met, that will be taken into consideration if changes need to be made to committee leadership. These seats are given because, we believe that you guys could do the right job, and it's not, but if requests are being made to participate in these things and it's not happening, you can have a discussion, but eventually, we will need, these are important things. So I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that because I believe you all can do it, but then we need to do it, okay? And go ahead.
By Monday at 5 p.m.?
See, but this is the thing, we just talked about it, so that's already concerning for me, but it is.
I understand that, but I have had no sleep, so please repeat yourself.
Can I ask a question though? Why would you have the attitude in that discussion? I'm just curious.
You just had attitude with me.
No, I
wanted
just
to
said,
repeat
okay.
yourself because I didn't understand.
Okay, your budget consultation questions supplemental to Sage for your relevant committees by Monday at 5 p.m. The frustration would be this should have already been done. Okay, so with that said, go ahead, Angel.
So yeah, thanks. Just back to the consultation thing. So Sage did send, so if everyone can hear me, Sage did send invitations to all the agencies and copied all the relevant committee chairs. So you can find it in your inboxes. It would say, district budget.
And have any responded?
Somehow. So the last one I wanted to make is, so I'm assisting Sage in coordinating the invitations, but I'm gonna be away for 2 weeks. So if you need assistance from the office, you can speak to Khalid, and Khalid will assist in getting the stuff scheduled. Sage had submitted, his availability to the agency, so you can just jump on those, which ones match, work for you once we get responses.
All right, thank you. So that concludes that. Then old business. Diana?
Yes, how are you? Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Ravasala.
Mhm.
I have a business on 156th Street. And I also, organize festivals. Well, I've been organizing the festival Mexican Independence Day since 2018. I've been, 2014, 2017, I don't remember. But it was since then, and I haven't been able to do the festival for the past 2 years because I submitted my application date to SAPO, and the event has been given to another organizer. However, this year I submitted an application. The event is for September 20, and I came to the meeting for the committee license and permits, and my event was denied. Because some businesses have between second and third avenue. The event is between First and Second Avenue. I have letters of support from those businesses between First and Second Avenue. The ones that were required for the application and for the community board. However, now I brought more business letters. I have 6 business letters in total. And that's what I wanted to show you, that the businesses from that block agreed and supported the event.
Instead also.
Change your,
Have you submitted this to the board before, or is this the first time?
this is the first time.
She hasn't come through.
I went to the full board meeting and I was told that I will be getting an email to come to this meeting. I never received anything, so. And I told.
I didn't say about the email, I said you would be. But
Before that, for the full board meeting, I told the day before, so Marie, and she told me that I couldn't submit anything, that the decision was already done, and I couldn't submit any more documents. So that's the reason he will send them my email from last week.
Go ahead, Candy.
So did you speak with Mr. Weldon also? Because I only see the, First Avenue.
I spoke to them, but they close on Sundays.
But they're open Monday to Friday.
The event is on the Sunday,
The event is on a Sunday
Yes.
and Weldon is closed on Sundays
yes, I was, so they close on Sundays.
if they don't have a funeral.
License is gonna meet.
Well, they were that project.
Well, it goes on the
I did something affect all week with the
Yeah.
Sundays.
When does licenses meet anymore?
We're meeting next, Thursday.
Sorry, I can pull it up.
No, I can get it for you.
I'm like Rosa, I'm-
I put it down to that.
It should be done.
your event to make a note, I mean, besides that, there were some contentions that happened with Diana before and the business owners.
So business owners between Second and Third
I
Avenue.
understand, but you are asking this board to have another Mexican Independence Day, because currently the board already approved a Mexican Independence Day for the week before. So you're asking us to have like another event for the same event, but the following weekend. I just wanna make sure that everyone is clear. And so typically this event has always been between second and third. In that event, the board already gave approval. This would be like now a secondary event the following weekend. So I just wanna make sure that everyone is understanding that situation. But licenses will meet and then.
License will meet, no, July 15th, am I right, Angel?
Yes.
July 15th. So, since this is for what, September 20th? You can attend that meeting, and then our executive meets the following day, right, Angel? Or, right, so we could technically ratify things then, that would just have to go to full board if that met after September 20th, we could do that, we've done that before. So then you will be put on the agenda for July 15th with the licenses committee, and they will take your application under consideration. Nothing changes because we do it tonight, and so they have that meeting, out of respect to that committee, they should be the ones that, review that, okay? All right, so Candy, that's in your court, and then depending on what their decision is, it will come to us the next day, as I don't think full board would meet, when it meets after that, right? We haven't really set the schedule. What would the third Tuesday of September be?
No.
Sorry, I'm looking to,
It would be.
So yeah, you're not doing full board in July, you're ratifying stuff at executive.
Right.
And then we haven't done September.
Okay. All right, it's fine though, the timeline will work, all right, so that will go, you'll be invited, you are invited, you'll be on the agenda for that meeting. So that,
But just, yeah, make.
July 15th, the licenses meeting, and then, whatever, decision they make, we will then ratify that at, or discuss and decide if we will ratify that at our executive committee, this committee, then the following day, because our full board doesn't meet, so then we would just, vote on it again, but it could be after the event. Essentially, the timeline changes not at all. We just want the appropriate committee to review that rather than this group, because there's no time sensitivity to this.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, how is it? Because, yeah, I mean, it's 2 weeks.
And also we need Weldon. I would like to see Weldon as.
So this is, Candy's the chair of the committee, and she's saying that, and I think you've heard that, if it's between first and second, there is concern over that funeral home there and how it would impact their business, especially on a weekend, which serves to, so I think I strongly encourage you to try to get that letter. And so then this affords you the time to try to get that letter, which you do have.
Excuse me, but it's a
Wait,
funeral. They don't
they're-
plan when somebody's gonna die.
Well, when I went to their office, I thought it was, we post on Sundays, that doesn't affect.
Maybe you probably said Sunday, but you didn't specify September, like.
I mean, Diana, we could just leave your denial.
Exactly,
See
leave it
if
like
that's
that.
it is.
No venga, that's it. Don't waste our time.
Okay, so regardless,
I just,
okay, but, and then even if that is true.
Put it in writing. Tell Mr. Weldon to give it to you in writing.
All right, Candy, you guys can discuss the set of licenses, that's not here nor there, that'll go to licenses. Do we have any new business? Okay, Angel, take the roll.
Like, seriously.
And we're gonna add to what the hell am I gonna say? Call your name, please answer present.
Next
Jose
time I
Alonso
bring
Serrano,
your chocolate.
present.
Adam Brija,
Present.
Rosa Diaz, Joe Jones, Dave Mason is absent, Nelson Rama,
Present.
Asher Rodriguez,
Present.
Xavier Santiago,
Present.
Derek Stampone.
President.
Jason Villanueva is absent, Candy Rivas Vasquez.
Present.
Thank you, all right, meeting is adjourned at 9:30 PM, thank you, everyone.
Okay.